A cursed blade pressed against a girl's throat while a demon smirks through a national champion's face. A classless nobody strolling into the biggest tournament in the country and dropping 5 elite swordsmen in a row like they showed up for a warm-up class. A princess sent to kidnap our hero, who turns out to be his own big sister running an entire kingdom just to protect him. 6 magic schools, 1 student, 0 classes, and a forbidden spell so massive the whole city has to pour their mana into him just to cast it. A hobgoblin twice a 10-year-old size dropping to a single sword swing. Yeah, this is that story. Now rewind, because none of this makes sense unless you know the one detail everyone in his world laughs at. This kid was born with nothing. Not a weak class, not a bad class, literally nothing. In a world where the gods hand out combat powers like party favors on your 10th birthday, our boy Errol got the divine equivalent of a pat on the head. And somehow he becomes the guy who breaks the entire class system in half. So let's start where every recap of this story should start. The morning that ruined his life. And then made it. Breakfast at the Errol household is louder than usual. His dad hasn't slept a wink. He's too hyped, spinning theories about what class his boy is about to unlock. Mom is beaming. Little sister Mira is at full brag mode, straight up declaring Errol is going to smoke every other kid in the ceremony. Mom throws in that with his looks, every girl in the village will be after him. Mira goes into full sister panic like the girls are already knocking at the door. Errol just sits there eating, because he already knows the truth in his head. He's about to be the most average boy in the village. And you know what? He's fine with that. Here's what you need to know real quick. In this world, when you turn 10, you go to the church, and a priest lays a hand on your forehead. Then the sky basically hands you a hero class, a divine power set that decides what you can do for the rest of your life. Blacksmith, swordsman, mage, whatever. It shows up as a vision, you carry it forever, and it comes stacked with skills you just know. No study required, no practice. Bam! Insta-download. And here's the thing, Errol's parents aren't nobodies. Mom is Farah, the sword princess, legendary sword saint tier. Dad is Leon, one of the strongest mages alive. When these two have a kid, the entire village assumes the class blessing is going to be nuclear. Ceremony day, kids line up at the church. Priest goes down the row. First boy, visions of hammers and flames. Boom, blacksmith. He runs to his dad crying happy tears. Next kid, next class. Then it's Errol's turn. The whole village is already whispering behind him. His parents are famous. His bloodline is stacked. Everyone's already deciding he's about to pull some rare advanced tier class the world has barely seen. Mira loudly announces he's about to break the ranking system before he even steps up. Errol closes his eyes. The priest lays a hand on his forehead. Nothing. No vision, no sound, no glow. Just nothing. The priest opens his eyes and awkwardly announces it. Errol is a rare case. A hero with no class at all. And here's the wound. It's not the priest. It's not the whispering crowd. It's his own family. Watch the shift happen in real time. 1 second, Mom, Dad, and Mira are beaming like their whole world just got the golden ticket. Next second, they look like somebody just conned them out of the family fortune. Their faces crumble. Like Errol's life is now officially over. Congratulations, kid. Your first divine gift is finding out your own people already wrote you off. Next morning, Errol grabs a normal sword and starts training. His parents are tiptoeing around him like he's made of glass, promising up and down they're not going to throw him out of the house. Mira pipes up that she'll always have his back no matter what, and our boy just wants them to stop looking at him like he's dying. He reminds them, coolly, that Mom has been training him in swordplay for years. Class or no class, he can still fight. Meanwhile, his internal monologue is a whole different story. Because his mother, the sword saint, is a terrible teacher. Every sparring session ends with her launching him across the forest like a discount catapult. That's her entire teaching method. Get sent flying, figure it out. Farah tears up at his words. Dad starts believing maybe the kid isn't cooked after all. Errol takes one look at them treating him like a saint, gets fed up, grabs his sword, and bounces to train alone. The training field is where things get spicy. 2 boys are already there dueling. Both have the swordsman class. They clock Errol watching and immediately start hazing him. What's a classless kid even doing at a place like this? Errol shrugs. Same thing you're doing. Training. They laugh. They're not training, they're playing. Their class does most of the work anyway. Then the two show off, and Errol watches carefully. Their movements really are cleaner and sharper. The class perk is real. It smooths out their technique automatically. So Errol asks, "Can I spar one of you?" Cue the ego. One boy scoffs and asks if he's serious. Errol tells him a class isn't going to be enough to save him. That flips the switch. The kid agrees. He'll happily teach the classless nobody a lesson. Then he does the polite thing and asks if Errol's protection blessing is topped up. Quick sidebar on the protection blessing. Everyone in this world is born with a passive shield. Think of it like a video game revive charge. It soaks damage, and if you don't get hit for a while, it recharges. Nobody dies from a friendly duel unless it's really bad. Errol confirms he's good. Fight starts. The class kid comes in swinging with his signature moves. Errol reads him, redirects the first strike, sidesteps the second, and parries clean. His buddy calls out for him to stop playing around. Class kid says the classless kid isn't playing around either. They trade steel. The class kid can't crack him. Frustrated, he calls his buddy in for backup. Errol clocks that these two clearly weren't taught teamwork by their divine skill set. Buddy comes charging from behind. Errol slides aside, watches the two tangle up in each other, and picks his moment. He blurs down under one of them, uppercut, lights him out. The other tries to counter, trips on his unconscious partner, and gets flattened by Errol on the way down. Two swordsman-class boys, dropped by the guy with nothing, chef's kiss. Naturally, the two immediately whine that it wasn't fair, they weren't ready, and they demand a rematch. Errol shrugs and says sure. But before they can restart, a voice cuts in from behind. Enter a red-haired kid. Icy stare. Cool composure. He immediately roasts the two boys for crying over a cheap loss, and tells them that in real combat, whining doesn't save you. Then he turns his attention to Errol. Asks if he's really the son of Farah, the sword princess. Errol nods. Red kid nods back, says the sword work clearly came from a sword saint, no way to hide it. Then he lifts his blade and challenges Errol to a real duel. Those two boys? Rookies. Warm up. He wants to show Errol what an actual swordsman class looks like. The rookies start whispering. Wait, is this Evans's kid? The village guard captain? Red kid confirms it, chest out. Evans used to run monster hunts with Errol's mom back in the day, so this boy grew up in the shadow of both of them. Errol looks him up and down. Way too pretty to be Evans's son. His dad is a wall of muscle. This kid looks like an idol. Errol makes a mental note to check back in 10 years to see if the boy turns into a bodybuilder like his old man. Then Red Kid starts hyping his father as the sharpest swordsman in the village. Best teacher alive, blah blah. But there's a crack in his voice. And Errol catches it instantly. This kid is bitter. His dad wants to be the best. Errol's mom is the best. That's the whole issue. Errol calls it out flat, says the duel isn't about proving anything. It's a personal grudge. Red Kid gets flustered, then pivots. Fine. Does Errol also believe Farah is the strongest? Errol smirks. Yeah, obviously. Mom's the best. Red Kid can't argue. So he just declares his own truth. He inherited elite swordsmanship from his father, and today he proves the Evans family stands above everyone. He got his swordsman class a year ago. He's been training every day since. Errol matches him calmly. He's had years of sword saint tier coaching. He's not planning to lose either. Blades up. Duel starts. Red Kid lunges. Errol blocks and counters. They lock into a fast, clean back and forth, and the rookies watching are jaw on the floor speechless. This classless kid is keeping up with an elite. Somehow, Errol notes it in his head. This Red Kid is on a different level from the other two. But the strikes are angry, not focused. So he plays patient, waits for a slip, dives in on the opening, and then, twin slice. Red Kid rips out a two-hit combo so fast that Errol blocks the first slash and eats the second one clean. Slams him straight into a wall. Errol staggers up, actually surprised. Asks what the hell that was. Red Kid explains. It's a swordsman class skill. A classless fighter literally cannot fully block it. Errol dusts himself off and says, nah, he'll figure it out. Give him time and he'll stop that move. Red Kid stares at him, and you can see it click for him. This kid isn't gonna quit. Weirdly, that earns his respect. Cut to Errol at home, passed out cold, snoring, midday. Mira creeps in trying to steal a kiss because she's Mira, and Errol wakes up right on cue and headbutts her clean out of the way. She yelps that he owes her one now for the trauma. Errol just gets up and walks past her to breakfast. He tells the family he's heading out training again. Mira tries to guilt him into staying home so she can spoil him. He walks past her wordlessly and out the door. Mira turns to Farah confused. Why is he going this hard? Farah smiles. Leads her outside. opens up a wooden chest. Broken swords. A whole pile. Every single one Errol has snapped in recent training sessions. That's how hard he's been going. Farah looks proud. Mira's face softens. Because now she gets it. Her brother isn't broken. He's grinding, and a little seed of her own future dream drops in. She wants to build a world where classless people like Errol aren't treated like garbage. Meanwhile, in the woods, Errol is drilling. He carves a target into a tree, steps back, locks in, and he swings. A clean twin slice. Bullseye. That's right, the class-only signature move. He learned it from getting hit by it, and now he's copying it without the class. He grins to himself. Getting his ass kicked by Red Kid was worth every bruise. Which is right when a goblin creeps out of the bushes behind him. Club raised. Ambush attempt. Errol spins and dumps a twin slice into it. Goblin down. But then a much bigger roar echoes through the trees, and a familiar voice screams. Errol freezes. He knows that voice. Sprints toward the sound. Crouches behind a bush. Peeks out. Red Kid. Arm covered in blood. Sword arm shaking. Standing over him is a hulking hobgoblin. The boss of the goblin pack. The big one you're supposed to run from, not fight. Errol pieces it together fast. Red Kid was training too. Killed a few goblins. Attracted this thing. Now he's cornered. The hobgoblin raises its club. Red Kid mutters that this is the end. Errol charges in and lands a full-power twin slice into the beast's side. Hobgoblin drops. Errol lands smooth and quietly notes to himself, yeah, he's got the stance locked in now. Red Kid stumbles up, bumps right into Errol's arms. Errol clocks that his protection blessing is fried, fully drained. Asks if Red Kid has any holy water left. Red Kid glances at the ground. Smashed bottle. Nothing. Errol pulls out his own bottle and hands it over. Red Kid drinks. Wounds start closing. And even mid-healing, the kid still looks irritated. Because our boy not only saved him, Errol is using his twin slice. He demands to know how the hell Errol pulled that off. Errol calmly says it's just twin slice. Basic stuff. Red Kid pushes back. Classless people can't learn class skills. Period. Errol just goes, well, I trained past my limits and figured it out. And here's the kicker. He tells Red Kid, you were my training tool. Getting smashed by that move non-stop is exactly how I broke down the timing. I've been drilling this specifically to beat you in the rematch. Red Kid blinks. He's actually impressed. Someone did all this just to fight him again? Fine. He'll take him on. Even better, he owes Errol for the water. Errol blinks back. Oh, this guy actually understands returning a favor. Red Kid glares. Very offended. Rematch time, swords out. Both open with twin slice simultaneously. And Red Kid catches an elbow to the plans. Because Errol blocks both his slashes and then smashes him with a follow-up hit. Red Kid demands to know what that was. Errol shrugs. I added a third slice. Red Kid snaps. It's called twin slice. There's supposed to be two. Errol grins. He never got the skill from a class. So there's no rules. He can tweak it however he wants. And today is the first time he's landed the third strike properly. Red Kid growls. A class swordsman losing to a classless kid. Not on his watch. Round 2. He steadies himself this time. Ready for the sneak third strike. Doesn't matter. Errol still cracks him open. The follow-up still slips through. Red Kid hits the dirt. Sword tip to his chest. Errol calmly tells him it was gonna go this way. Red Kid grimaces and asks how the third hit is so fast. Errol smirks. Got the idea from watching him. Slow down the first two just enough. Dump all your strength into the last one. It becomes a hidden knockout blow. Red Kid clenches his teeth. Cooked. Errol walks off, undefeated. And that's day one of an entire life pattern. Get hit by a class skill. Decode it, upgrade it, use it against the class that owns it. Days pass. Family dinner. Farah casually drops a bomb. Evans's kid is heading off to train in Brea, the city of swords. Errol looks up. Wait, where? Farah lights up. Brea, she says. Legendary city. Home of the strongest sword guilds. She herself trained there before marriage. Cream of the crop. Our guy's eyes go wide. If a class-holding kid can go there, so can he. Even without a class. Especially without a class. That's exactly the arena where a classless nobody gets to prove the whole system wrong. Cut. 5 years vanish in a blink. A carriage rolls down a wooded road, headed for Brea. Riding up top on the driver's bench is our guy. Older now. Taller. Cleaner cut. Still wearing that same easy smile. Inside the carriage, the usual travel buddy chaos is going down. A gruff barbarian swordsman is snapping at a woman who's dressed in about as much armor as a swimsuit. She explains, mostly patiently, that minimal clothing is a build boost to her dual-blade fighter class, mobility over defense. He glares at her outfit like it's a personal insult. The two start bickering. The driver chuckles that advanced classes really do think they're something. The carriage stops. Hard. Ahead, blocking the road, is a wall of orcs. Dozens of them. Wild, muscled, weapon in every fist. And behind them, rising up like a small mountain, is the Orc King. The driver, half joking, calls out for the two advanced class fighters to strut their stuff. Both of them freeze. The dual-blade woman clings to the barbarian's arm. He shoves her off and runs. She runs the other way. The driver decides driving is optional today, and books it too. But Errol slides off the bench, draws his sword, and walks straight into the pack. The driver, halfway into the trees, looks back and sees this classless-looking kid casually stepping toward an orc horde. Bruh. This kid is cooked. Errol vanishes. Not metaphorically. Actually vanishes. Blink dash. He's already inside the orc horde before they can raise their weapons. Clean cuts. 1 orc drops. 2. 5. He's slicing through them like a warm-up drill. The orcs start swarming him from every side. The driver, watching from cover, is 100% convinced this is the last day of the kid's life. That's when Errol goes full spin. Blade dance. A cyclone of clean strikes. The entire pack falls at once. Bodies drop like a wheat field going down. The driver's brain goes offline. Blade dance. That's Farah's signature move. The Sword Princess's signature. That skill is supposed to be class-locked. Female-only class technique. So how the hell is this kid doing it? He doesn't have time to process. Because now the Orc King is charging. Massive weapon. City-flattening size. Errol just flows around the swing like it's nothing. Flips over the king's head mid-air. Drives his sword straight into the top of the king's skull. Orc King down. Complete silence. Errol lands, wipes his blade, and calmly asks the driver if they can keep going to Brea. The driver, still on his knees behind a tree, is having an existential crisis. He asks Errol, "Why do you even need to go to Brea? You're already ridiculously strong." One of the passengers who came back peeks out and asks what class Errol belongs to, because that has to be advanced tier stuff. Errol smiles at him. Simple answer, he doesn't have one. The whole crew freezes. The dual-blade woman blinks like she misheard. The driver whispers it out loud, half in shock. Classless. This kid just used 2 Sword Saint tier techniques and he's classless. Errol shrugs. Yeah. That's why he's going to Brea. He wants to test himself against the top. He wants to get stronger. He doesn't want to plateau in a small village playing sword hero. The driver just nods slowly, gathers what's left of his dignity, and climbs back onto the bench. The carriage rattles forward. Brea rises on the horizon, a legendary city stacked with elite guilds, ranked swordsmen, and a national tournament with a prize pool big enough to buy a house. And Errol has no clue that he's about to walk into a wall, because in Brea, everything runs through guilds. Guilds run on class certifications. And every single guild is about to slam the door in his face for the exact same reason his village pitied him 5 years ago. Classless. The one word that's followed him for half his life is about to become the first fight of a brand new chapter. And this time, he's not fighting for a spot at the training field. He's fighting to prove an entire elite city has been wrong about people like him. The driver drops Errol off at the city gates and quietly tells him to be careful. A sword city like this has some rough characters. Then he adds one more thing. If a guild ever tries to turn him away, don't take it too personally. Brea's guilds are famously picky. Class certifications only. No exceptions. Errol nods and steps through the gates. And whoa, this place is stacked. Every third person walking past is carrying a sword. Elite fighters everywhere. You can feel the pressure just from standing on the main street. Ranked swordsmen moving through the crowd like it's normal. Recruitment booths lining the plaza. One of them is Cavalier's Guild, mage classes only. Another is Sword Road, sword classes only. Everywhere Errol looks, someone's advertising for exclusive class requirements. He hasn't even taken 5 steps when a girl comes flying at him for a hug, like literally launches herself at him. Errol steps aside without even glancing. She face plants directly into the pavement. She pops up like a whack-a-mole, confused. How did he dodge her? She was going full speed. concludes he must have insane perception, then dusts herself off and immediately pivots into a sales pitch. She's recruiting, she says. Brand new guild. Would he like to sign? She pulls out a contract. Errol turns and walks off. She grabs his belt like a toddler holding onto her dad at the mall. Wait. He can't just leave. Why? Why is he leaving? He tells her flat. She looks way too desperate, which means her guild is probably weak as hell. She tries to backpedal and pretend she's from a famous elite guild. Errol ain't buying it. She switches to plan B and offers him a date if he signs. Errol keeps walking. She stands there dazed. He introduces himself in his head. She reminds him too much of his little sister. Cocky attitude, red flags stacked to the ceiling, hard pass. Then he stops, turns back. Fine, he'll bite. Which guild is actually the top dog in Brea? She fumes for a second because he's clearly disrespecting her guild. Deep breath, composes herself, introduces herself properly. Lilia. Then answers the question. Top guild is Blackblade. Nothing but A-rank swordsman. Massive base on the other side of the city. Perfect. Errol thanks her and heads that way. Now, quick primer, because you're gonna hear these ranks a lot. In Brea, swordsmen are ranked from D up to A. A rank is the top. There are only around 20 A rankers in the whole city. 20, total. So imagine walking into a base where every single receptionist is an elite. That's Blackblade. Errol walks up. Guard stops him, asks his business. Errol says he wants to join. Guard points him to the application desk. He gets in line. Everybody around him is oozing serious swordsman vibes. His turn. Receptionist checks his file, then looks up. Sorry, Blackblade only accepts advanced combat classes. Errol tells her the truth. He doesn't have a class. The receptionist bursts out laughing. She literally laughs in his face and tells him to leave. The people in line start murmuring. Some of them chuckle. That classless nobody thought he could just walk into Blackblade? Errol keeps his cool, asks if he can at least take the entrance test. He's confident in his strength. She refuses. Rules are rules. Class only. Period. Just then, a group of A-rank swordsmen walks in behind him. The room actually brightens because these guys carry that much presence. And Errol looks at them, decides he's not wasting his afternoon on this crowd, and walks out. Same day. Different guild. Same result. Different guild. Same rejection. Guild after guild after guild. Not one of them will even test him. The moment they see the empty class field on his card, they cut him off. No sparring, no trial, nothing. It's not that he failed, they won't even let him try. By evening, our guy is standing on a bridge feeling actually beaten. Not from a duel, from bureaucracy. Then he remembers something. Farah, before he left, quietly handed him a recommendation letter. A personal endorsement for her old guild, the one she trained at in her youth. Errol thought she was being overprotective at the time. Now he gets it. His mom knew exactly what was going to happen. She lived it. Fine. Time to cash in mom's letter. He starts walking toward the address. And guess who pops out of a side street? Lilia. Again. He walks straight past her. She jogs after him. Please, please, please join her guild. She'll do anything. She'll lick his boots if he wants. She yells this last part out loud in the middle of a crowded street. Pedestrians turn to stare. Errol doesn't even break stride. Lilia stands there frozen in mid-shout as strangers give her looks. She yells after him. She's not giving up on him. Errol turns a corner, reads the address on his mother's letter, looks up, and realizes he's staring at the exact same building Lilia has been dragging him toward. Because Lilia has caught up, beaming, pointing at it like a proud realtor. Welcome to the guild. Errol just stares. This place is huge. Big base, big frontage, big everything. He asks why the guild feels so run down when the building screams money, and Lilia sighs. It used to be one of the top guilds in the city. Not anymore. The good years are gone. She's trying to bring it back. The guild's name is Dragonfang, founded by a legend called the Dual Swords King. Errol's brain pings. That name. He remembers now. His mom was a member of Dragonfang in her youth. Same guild. Full circle. All right, he'll take a look. Lilia leads him inside like she's just landed the biggest catch of her life, sits him down, and just as they get comfortable, a drunken mess of a man staggers up from the couch, bottle in hand, barely upright, and Lilia snaps. She reminds him the doctor told him no more drinking. They can't even afford booze. He waves her off like nothing. Errol looks up and clocks it. one arm. This wrecked, drunk, sad man missing an arm is the Dual Swords King, the founder of Dragonfang, the legend, the one Farah trained under, Rod, that's his name, and he looks at Errol and bluntly tells him to walk away. The guild's a sinking ship, don't drown with it. Then he stumbles out the door. Lilia deflates, explains everything to Errol. Her dad used to be one of Brea's top-ranked fighters, lost his arm, career ended overnight, been rotting ever since. She figures Errol's about to bounce like everyone else does. Errol tells her he'll join. Lilia's brain reboots. Excuse me? He's classless. No other guild will take him. This one won't kick him out for it. Done. Lilia lights up. She whips out a membership contract at light speed. Errol sits down and signs. Hands it back. She reads it. Freezes. Slowly looks up. The class field is blank. She thinks it's a joke. Errol pulls out his official class card and shows her. Legit. Certified. Classless. Lilia calmly stands up, draws her sword, and threatens to grant him the deceased class personally if he doesn't get out of her guild right now. Errol just blinks. Why the sudden mood swing? She yells. She needs real swordsmen, advanced classes. She's trying to save her family guild. She remembers that public humiliation earlier, the guy who dodged her hug, walked past her sales pitch, refused a date, and now realizes she was outmaneuvered by a classless kid. Absolute rage. Right on cue, another woman walks in. Beautiful, confident, massive sword strapped to her back, long flowing hair. Lilia forgets everything and throws herself into her arms, crying about a fraud trying to trick her. The new woman glances up, locks eyes with Errol. She recognizes him instantly. Errol has no idea who she is. She smiles and says they're actually from the same village. She reminds him they sparred as kids. Errol draws a blank. She says they crossed paths 5 years ago too. Errol tries to be diplomatic. Says he definitely remembers someone as gorgeous as her. Her face goes red as a stop sign. And then he sees it. The hair color, the eyes. Wait, red-haired kid. He nearly falls out of his chair. This is the red-haired boy? From 5 years ago? She grins. Reiner, daughter, only child, of Captain Evans. Yeah, turns out red-haired kid was never a boy. Errol had been calling her a dude the whole time as a kid because she was mid-transition from tomboy to whatever she is now. Errol apologizes for not clocking it earlier. Reiner shrugs it off, blaming her long hair. Errol's eyes go elsewhere, because it wasn't just the hair that changed. He mentally notes that Evans's daughter grew up, substantially. Two very obvious, very present pieces of evidence that this is no longer the flat-chested red kid he clowned on years ago. Lilia looks between them, pieces it together. Reiner, this is the classless kid who beat you? Really, Reiner nods. And immediately says she's stronger now. Wants a rematch. Say less. Fight room. Let's go. Lilia is losing her mind on the way to the training grounds. Reiner is seriously dueling a classless guy in her own guild? Reiner tells her flat, Errol's strength is real, and this time she's beating him. Lilia takes referee position, calls the start. Reiner opens with a twin blade strike. Errol goes to block, same as always, and her sword powers straight through his defense and lands on his body. Errol blinks. What just happened? Reiner lowers her massive weapon, explains, calmly, that her sword is 5 times heavier than a normal blade. He can't parry that with regular blocks. And on top of that, she has the Brute Swordsman class. Pure strength multiplier. Every swing amplified. Errol nods. Fair. Compliments her growth. Then he braces up. Because she's coming again. Reiner unloads a flurry of massive swings. Errol can't keep clashing head-on. Every clean hit chips his stamina. He retreats a few steps. Admits out loud that if he plays her game, he loses. He's confused why she's telling him her advantages mid-fight, like a villain in a Saturday morning cartoon. She grins. If explaining her build helps her finally beat him, she'll take it. Errol says her speed still can't touch him. Prove it, she says, and charges. She knocks his sword aside, slashes right through him, right through an afterimage. Errol reappears behind her, taps the side of her neck with the flat of his blade. Match paused. Reiner freezes. What was that? Errol tells her it was a shadow, not a real body, a decoy. Her eyes go wide. Shadow is a supreme swordsman tier technique. That's not just above her rank, that's above almost everybody's rank in the whole city. She grits her teeth and comes at him again. He weaves, she keeps swinging. He tells her it's not mysterious, You just move fast enough that the eye can't tell where you actually are. Reiner is not amused by how casually he's downplaying elite-level sword work. He adds that it took years of training to hit this level, then vanishes again, reappears at her side, clean strike. His blade bounces. There's a glow around her. She smirks. Brute Swordsman doesn't just boost damage, it boosts defense. Her whole body has a magical hardness barrier over it. She swings. He dodges. Then he counters with a perfectly timed diagonal cut. One, he tells her, mid-swing, is a move his mother taught him. Reiner is already on the ground. Match over. Lilia stands there with her mouth open, then slowly announces Errol as the winner, because that's what a referee does. Reiner sits up, frustrated. 5 years of training, non-stop, and she's still lost. Errol compliments her technique, compliments her growth, then tells her, honestly, he's just stronger, and her eyes well up. Lilia rushes in to console her, turns on Errol like a mama bear. What are you doing making her cry? Errol looks genuinely confused. He was being nice. Reiner denies she was crying, storms up to the guild house, slams the door, and Errol and Lilia can both hear her yelling inside about how 5 years of grinding still wasn't enough. Lilia turns back to Errol with a whole new face on. Big warm smile, welcomes him to the guild. Errol clocks the personality flip and rolls with it, asks why the guild has fallen so hard. Lilia's smile fades. She leans in, and whispers a number in his ear. Debt. A number so large it makes Errol's stomach flip. But, she says brightly, they can wipe it all out if they win the next big tournament. The guild tournament. Cash prize massive enough to erase the whole thing. Errol perks up, sounds like his kind of event. Asks how many fighters they need per team. 3. He nods. Him, Reiner, Lilia. Done. Then Lilia adds the fun part. Opposing guilds are allowed up to 5. 3 versus 5. All the way through the bracket. Cool. He asks about Reiner. Why she's still in this crumbling guild instead of jumping ship. Lilia explains. When Reiner first came to Brea, every big guild rejected her too. But her dad, Rod, saw her potential immediately. Signed her right up. She's been repaying that loyalty ever since. Errol nods. Gets it. Then he grins. Fine, they win the tournament. Debt gone. Simple. Lilia looks nervous. Errol doesn't. Because up in the balcony, behind a curtain, the actual guildmaster, Rod, is quietly watching all of this. And even through the booze haze, he's clocking something. This kid. This classless kid. There's something in him. Small smile. Morning, Errol wakes up in an unfamiliar bed and takes a second to remember he now lives at Dragon Fang. Gets dressed. Heads to the kitchen. Lilia and Reiner are already at the table. Lilia beams and asks how he slept. Amazing, he says. It's been a while since he slept in a real bed. Reiner is dead quiet. Errol assumes she's still moping about yesterday's loss. Before he can dig into that, Lilia jumps up and announces, they're officially registered for the guild tournament. She lays out the rules. Elimination-based. Team fights. Win when you knock out every enemy team member. Winners advance. Losers go home. Reiner is quietly worried. Their 3-person team is going to look tiny next to 5-person squads. Lilia stays chipper. Points out that the odds of running into A-rankers in the early rounds are low. Plus, they have 2 rock-solid B-rankers on the team. Herself and Reiner. Errol tilts his head. B-rank? Reiner just sighs that he really doesn't know anything. Lilia explains fast. Swordsmen in Brea are ranked D up to A based on overall combat power. Only 20 A-rankers in the whole city. She and Reiner are both B rank, which by their standards is elite. So where does Errol fit? He asks. Lilia shrugs. Even after Errol beat Reiner, she still doesn't think he can be A rank. The gap between B and A is enormous. Some skill grind can beat a B ranker with the right matchup, but A rank is a different species. Then she remembers. Bracket announcement. She sprints out to check. Reiner also stands up. Errol asks where she's going. Training, she says. Errol asks her about her class again. Power boosts, defense boosts, anything else. She mentions guts, a skill that supercharges her defense barrier under pressure. Errol grabs her hands. Reiner instantly turns crimson. He asks her, very seriously, if she'll beat him up with her sheath. She short-circuits, explains that's not what she meant by getting closer. Errol quickly clarifies, no, he wants to learn guts. The best way to learn a skill triggered by pressure is to spend a lot of time under pressure. So, please beat him up. consistently. He'll get the reps in. Reiner reminds him that divine blessings aren't just something you copy. Her class was given, not taught. Errol just names 2 skills he already learned: Twin Slice, Shadow, both from watching class holders use them on him. Reiner opens her mouth, closes it. She's got nothing. Fine. Training field. Now. He borrows her heavy sword. She doubts he can even lift it. He lifts it clean. 2-handed swing. On model, full form. Because he's been training his body for years, class or no class. Reiner acknowledges it. And her respect for him ticks up another notch. She agrees to help him, and warns him she isn't holding back. He's happy. He's finally got a powerful ally from his hometown pushing him. Reiner's blushing so hard her hair almost blends in. She raises her sword. Special training arc begins. Cut to Lilia bursting back into the guild in full panic mode. Tournament matchups announced. First round opponent, Black Blade, the most elite guild in Brea, the one that laughed Errol out of the recruitment desk. Lilia's crying. Their captain Jorg is a monster in the ring. No mercy, no restraint. This is a dream draw for him and a death sentence for anyone else. She braces herself and swears they'll fight anyway. Then she turns and sees Reiner absolutely wailing on Errol with a heavy sword. Errol on the floor. Reiner still swinging. Lilia assumes they had a falling out and Reiner is venting. Reiner just calls it intense training. Errol staggers up covered in bruises and asks for food. Lilia hands him holy water first. Days blur. More training. Guts locks in for Errol. His body starts tanking hits it shouldn't. Tournament day. The Coliseum is massive. The crowd is deafening. Errol has never seen a stadium this packed. As they walk to the entrance, they overhear spectators eagerly betting on Black Blade. Everyone assumes Dragonfang gets slaughtered. Lilia grits her teeth. Reiner grabs her arm before she picks a fight with strangers. Errol spots a betting board. Asks Lilia what those numbers mean, because Dragonfang is listed at 20-1. Lilia smiles a dark little smile. Says out loud that yeah, 20-1 just means nobody thinks they'll win. Which also means if they do win, the payout is life-changing. She confesses. She went all in. Mortgaged the guild house. Bet every last coin they had on themselves. She figures, hey, they were doomed either way. Reiner is horrified but silent. Right then, the man himself strolls up. Jorg, big smile, fake concern. Compliments Lilia for defending her father's guild against the odds. Casually mentions the mysterious classless fighter she brought in. Lilia can smell the sarcasm from a mile away. Jorg pretends he's sad Dragonfang has fallen so far, then admits, smirking, that he personally arranged this matchup with the tournament committee, because the crowd would love a fight between the past strongest guild and the current one. Says he's basically doing her a favor by letting her cash in on the underdog odds. Then he can't help himself. Chuckles. Says there's no way she wins because his hand-picked team is stacked. Lilia says calmly, they'll win anyway. Jorg walks off shaking his head, laughing to himself. Lilia is boiling. Errol quietly watches all of this. Reads Jorg instantly. The compliments were poison. The concern was fake. Everything the man says is a lie wearing a smile. Fine. Errol will just answer him with a sword. Announcer starts the hype. Crowd goes wild. Errol clocks that Jorg himself is not fighting. Lilia confirms it. Jorg doesn't need to. Every one of his teammates is A rank. All 5 of them. Reiner backs it up. No punches pulled. That only makes Errol more excited. He came to Brea specifically to face people like this. First match called. Black Blade's Geo versus Dragonfang's classless Errol. Errol steps onto the sand. The crowd starts whispering. Some of them literally shake their heads. Why would Dragonfang send a classless kid to be publicly executed? Even Geo sighs and thinks this fight is a waste of time. Bell rings. Geo instantly teleports forward and stabs. Lilia gasps, but Reiner already knows. Shadow clone. The Errol Geo just impaled evaporates. Geo spins, slashes at the Errol behind him. That one dissolves too. Then he looks around and sees 3 more Errols standing across the arena. Geo's face falls. This isn't a nobody with a lucky trick. This kid is running Supreme Swordsman tier technique. He powers up, fires off a blink dash into a heavy strike, trying to erase all 3 at once. But a 4th Errol appears behind him. All 3 Shadow Errols dive at him at the same time. Geo destroys them mid-air with a spin, but it's too late. The real Errol emerges from beneath him. Uppercuts him clean. Geo drops. One hit. Crumpled in the sand, he tries to figure out how Errol summoned 3 shadows at once. Errol tells him, calmly, that his mother can make 5 without breaking a sweat. Announcer barely knows what to say. Winner, Errol. Crowd erupts. Lilia is jumping. Reiner is speechless. Errol just took down an A ranker like it was a warm-up drill. Medics haul Geo off. Errol thinks to himself, that was actually a clean strike from Geo. He needs to add that critical attack to his own kit later. Round 2. Black Blade sends out fighter number 2. Slashes at Errol. Errol deflects everything, then whips a twin slice up through him. Fight over. Round 3. Agile dagger user. Fast, close-range specialist. Errol just vanishes, reappears behind him, and cracks him unconscious. 3 fights, 3 wins. Reiner turns to Lilia and asks when she's stepping in. Lilia decides she's more useful as a cheerleader. She and Reiner start doing an actual little cheer, while Errol strolls back onto the sand. Fighter number 4, Big Shield Knight. Full armor, slow but tanky. Errol dances around every swing. Shield Knight snarls that Errol has to be lying about being classless. Errol compliments his stance and admits he'll need to wear this one down instead of cracking him open. Shield Knight snaps back. Talent from a class beats effort from a nobody. Fakes a sword swing. Charges with a shield bash instead. Errol sees it coming, because he's using foresight. A skill he literally just learned this tournament by watching Black Blade's earlier fighters. He counters the shield bash mid-motion. Shield goes flying. Knight is stunned. Then Errol crushes him with a follow-up kick. The Knight realizes with horror that Errol is picking up class techniques on the fly. He gets called on this by Errol. Errol admits he's still learning that one, but it's usable enough. Then Errol walks over and picks up the discarded shield. The Knight scrambles up in rage, charges. Errol calmly steps aside and drops him with the exact same shield counter he just took a shield to the face with. 4th win. The whispers turn into a full stadium buzz. Something's wrong here. He can't be classless. Someone's cheating. Officials step in. Demand proof. Errol hands them his class card without a word. They walk it over to the verification crystal. Place it in. Crystal glows. The entire stadium goes dead silent. Announcer's voice cracks over the speakers. Authenticity confirmed. Errol is legitimately classless. Somewhere in a private box, Jorg's smile finally cracks. He's watching his own carefully picked A-rank lineup get slaughtered by a boy the crystal itself calls classless. Reiner is starting to genuinely believe they might win the whole tournament. Lilia is starting to sweat because if she'd known Errol was this strong, she'd have sold family heirlooms too and doubled her bet. She also starts sketching out a personal 5-year plan involving Errol and a wedding chapel. Errol can literally feel the aura shift and gets a chill. Announcer collects himself, introduces Black Blade's final fighter, Master Masamune. Errol looks up, notices immediately. Katana. Reiner mutters, samurai class. Extremely rare. Class specialty is the single perfect strike from the drawn sword. 1-hit kill potential. Masamune has never fought publicly before. Lilia is convinced this is Black Blade's true ace. The whole reason Jorg is smiling again. Match begins. Masamune does not move. Hand rests lightly on the sheath. That's it. He's not going to charge. He wants Errol to close the distance. The pressure coming off him is intense. Errol feels it in his chest. Then he smirks, and starts walking toward him anyway. Masamune smiles faintly. Warns him, if he uses his ultimate, Errol won't even see it happen. Errol just keeps walking, says they can't stand there forever. He wants to see the technique with his own eyes. He's now within striking range. Both of them still, perfectly still. Sword still sheathed. Errol takes one more step. Masamune draws. The blade flashes, and Errol vanishes. Not a shadow, not a decoy. His actual body. Behind Masamune. Sword already raised. Masamune's eyes go wide. Errol tells him, calmly, that his mother is faster. Piercing Tempest. The Sword Princess's signature finishing move. A storm of chain slashes, one after another, driven into Masamune before he can even turn around. Masamune goes down in a heap. The stadium loses its mind. Reiner and Lilia recognize the technique. Piercing Tempest is a Sword Saint tier move. Not just any Sword Saint. Farah's Sword Saint, announcer calls it. Dragon Fang wins the round. 20-1 payout cashes in for Lilia. Half the crowd is angry, half is euphoric. The betting stand is on fire. Errol walks back toward his team. Lilia tries to leap into his arms. He steps aside on instinct. She hits the floor face first. He apologizes. Habit from dodging his little sister. She perks back up thinking about the payout. He turns to Reiner. Reiner is standing with her arms slightly open, waiting. She snaps out of it and drops her arms fast, blushing. Errol tells her he'd hug her if she took off the armor. Lilia tries to substitute again. Faceplant number 2. From his box, Jorg watches Errol get hugged by nobody in particular, and quietly promises himself this classless kid is going to pay for this in ways he hasn't figured out yet. Back at the guild that night, the celebration is nuclear. Drinks, music, Lilia hopping around like a squirrel on espresso, trying to negotiate marriage every 10 minutes. Reiner trying to police her every 10 minutes. Errol dodging both. Rod, who's been sleeping upstairs, wakes up to the noise. Stumbles down grumbling, sees his daughter, sees Reiner, sees the classless kid, asks what the hell they're all doing at this hour. Lilia beams, tells him they won, not just any match, against Blackblade, and it wasn't even close. Errol soloed every single one of their A-rankers. Rod stops walking, squints at Errol, bruised, tired, still upright. That kid? Yeah, that kid. Lilia adds, they cleaned up on bets. The guild is not just out of debt, they're stocked. Rod stares at his daughter in the middle of a warmly lit hall, drunk on victory, and quietly feels something crack open inside him. Something he'd shut down years ago. He mutters that if this kid is really that strong, some bigger, richer guild is going to poach him eventually. Lilia says no. She's got a plan. She's marrying him. Errol interrupts to say no she isn't. Then he turns to Rod, looks him dead in the eye, says Lilia might be stubborn and annoying, but at least she isn't a quitter. Unlike her father, who bailed on everything. Rod's face darkens. Warning eyes. Errol keeps going, tells him to stop sulking, act his age. He still has one working hand. He could still swing a blade if he wanted to. Rod grabs him by the collar. Errol doesn't flinch, just says he disagrees with the whole self-pity thing. He's a classless kid. He's got nothing, and he's out here fighting anyway. Rod shoves him back, walks upstairs without a word. Lilia and Reiner rush over to Errol. Lilia apologizes for her dad. Errol shrugs and says he actually likes the guy, because even missing an arm, even years off the field, Rod's presence is heavy. There's still elite instinct in there. Errol wants to learn from him, and in his head, our guy quietly decides he's going to drag Rod back into a swordsman's mindset one way or another. Lilia perks up at this and casually drops that, if he wants faster training, there are dungeons under the city crawling with monsters. Perfect for grinding technique, especially before the big one coming up soon, the Sword God Cup. Errol has no clue what any of that is. Reiner takes over. Dungeons, underground caverns full of monsters and traps. Enter, fight, level up, come back. And the Sword God Cup? Only the biggest annual tournament in the country. Top swordsmen from every region come to Brea to prove who really sits at the top. Errol's eyes light up. Say less. Lilia already has a registration form out. He goes to sign it, then stops, reads more carefully. It's a marriage certificate. He tears it clean in half. Lilia bursts out laughing. She just wanted to see if he was paying attention. Errol's had enough of that game. He grabs her from behind and locks her in a rear-naked choke to teach her a lesson. She's laughing and tapping out at the same time. Morning, Errol wakes up. Lilia is once again trying some kind of surprise attack. He dodges her, ties her to the bed like she's a training accessory, and heads downstairs. Dungeon time. At the entrance, Lilia explains dungeon basics. Every adventurer stands on a teleportation circle. It only takes you to floors you've already been to. So if you've made it to floor 12, you can start from floor 12. Can't skip ahead. Lilia's cap is floor 12. Reiner's cap is 14. Errol immediately wants to go to floor 14. Lilia explains he can't. He hasn't been there. The circle won't take him. Frustrating, but Lilia says she knows a workaround. There are certain paths that let you drop down floors faster than the usual grind. Deal. Let's go. Lilia tries at the last second to peel Errol off from the group so it's just the two of them. Reiner smells this from a mile away. Errol just tells Reiner to come along too, and Lilia deflates. Floor 1. Ambushed instantly by 2 armored knights. Reiner takes one, Errol takes the other. The knight is faster than expected, even in heavy armor. Errol reads it, gets inside its guard, and slices clean through its neck. The head comes off. The body keeps swinging. Because it's hollow, there's no one in the armor, just pure mana animating it. Dungeon magic. Errol adjusts. goes for the legs. The knight crumples. Reiner drops hers too. She warns him the pieces will regenerate, best to keep moving. Before floor 2, they hear a voice, weak, bloody, behind a nearby door. They open it. A man is crumpled on the floor, covered in blood, sobbing that his party is trapped and begging for help. Reiner's first instinct is to haul him to the surface. He refuses. His teammates are still inside. Please help. Lilia's first instinct is to ask how much. He hands her actual coin. Real cash. Gambling winnings, he says. Errol looks at him. Something is off. He walks behind him quietly and clocks it. This man is way too coherent for someone bleeding this much. That much blood, no holy water, no bandages. He shouldn't even be able to sit up, let alone walk you deeper into a dungeon. The blood is fake. This whole scene is a setup. Errol says nothing, because, honestly, he wants to see where this goes. The bloody man leads them into a hidden chamber. Puddle of blood on the floor. A single gold coin sitting in the middle. Lilia's eyes lock onto that coin like a laser. She reaches for it. Magic circle lights up under their feet. Reiner realizes instantly they walked into a trap. The fake bleeding man smirks and admits someone paid him well to set this up. What he did not expect was for the transport circle to catch him too. They all reappear on a floor no one recognizes, not even Reiner, which means they've been dropped deeper than floor 14, and it's quiet, way too quiet. The fake bleeder starts trembling, because he knows exactly what floor they landed on, the bottom, the final floor, the one where the boss lives, and right then, in front of them, a knight materializes. Rainbow-plated armor humming with power, massive presence. The kind of enemy that turns a hunting party into a memorial photo. Lilia scoffs. She still thinks the sword god class is a myth. She might not be laughing much longer. Because the moment the knight moves, he unleashes a slash that tears through the actual dungeon wall behind them. Errol shoves Lilia to the ground just in time. The sword god knight charges him directly. Errol raises his sword, blocks the strike. The impact slams him into a wall. But he's still standing, thanks to guts. Thanks to Reiner beating him bloody every training session. His body absorbs the shot and holds. He counters. Divine step, multiple angles, fast. The knight parries every one of them. Then the knight activates a skill. Gravity spikes in the room. Reiner and Lilia and the fake bleeder collapse to the floor. Errol stays standing, because his mom used to make him train under weighted gravity when he was a kid. Standing was the whole exercise. He knows this pressure. He's been under this before. He pulls out the gold coin, uses it as a mana focus, cancels the gravity effect just enough. Small window opens in the knight's defense. Errol dives in. Infinite break. A rapid-fire chained assault of clean strikes. Blur of sword. The knight can't parry all of them. He shatters. The rainbow armor cracks apart, falls silent. Reiner and Lilia stare. The fake bleeder is on his knees, whispering thanks to whatever gods listen to guys like him. Errol sips holy water to recover. Then the group teleports out through the exit portal. Back at the tavern. Rod is drowning himself in booze, again, when he overhears a group of thugs at a nearby table bragging. Talking about how they lured a rookie team from Dragon Fang into a trap and probably killed them. Rod stands up, walks over, and punches their table in half with one hand. Demands to know everything. Before they answer, Jorg strolls in, sees Rod, calls him a useless drunk. Rod puts it together instantly. If Jorg's here, then yeah, that trap was his. And that means his daughter is dead. Rod snaps, lunges at him. Jorg tosses him aside like garbage. Rod hits the ground on his knees, missing an arm. Nothing to fight with, nothing to save her with. Then the door creaks open. He looks up. Lilia. Walking in with Errol and Reiner, casually complaining about how hungry they are from the fight. Rod's world stops. He grabs his daughter and pulls her into a hug so tight she coughs. Reiner turns on Jorg. Tells him straight up, they know it was him. His guy confessed. Jorg goes into full politician mode. Denies everything. Says anyone who enters a dungeon is responsible for their own safety. It's technically true. Errol admits Jorg is legally covered. Rod hisses that Jorg won't get away with this. Jorg calls him a washed-up drunk and walks out laughing. Errol just watches, because he already knows this Jorg guy is going to keep making moves. And that's fine. He'll be ready. A few days later, the preliminary bracket for the Sword God Cup drops, and Lilia's face goes white as she scans the list. Her name is in the same bracket as Errol, which means she's not making the finals. She was actually holding out hope this year. Now that hope is dead. Reiner is in a completely different group, so she has a real shot. Errol asks how the whole preliminary thing works. Reiner explains, the Sword God Cup draws so many entrants that they can't all fit in the main bracket, so they run preliminaries, sorted randomly by dice roll, and only the group winners advance to the actual tournament. She looks over at her name in her bracket, says a quiet prayer for a smooth path. Errol teases her about her praying. Lilia snaps him back to reality. Dungeon training. Now. Ongoing. Errol groans. He's honestly tired of dungeon crawling at this point, but Lilia sweetly reminds him she needs protection down there. Reiner mentally clocks how needy Lilia is and vows to teach her some independence. Rod appears from the couch, hugs his daughter, and quietly begs her to be careful because Jorg might strike again. Lilia promises she'll be safe. Rod turns to leave, sees Errol watching him. Rod says quickly, there's still time for him to be a better father. Errol just smiles, says it's never too late to be a decent person, then walks off. 2 weeks fly by. Preliminaries begin. The stadium fills up, duels start, blades clash, sparks fly, and Lilia gets eliminated fast. She sulks in the corner. She was at least hoping to reach the final of her bracket. Errol has zero sympathy. Reminds her that even if Errol wasn't in her bracket, she still would have lost. Lilia deflates further, then bounces back and warns him. His bracket final opponent is a red-haired girl, and she's not a normal swordsman. She's a magic swordsman. She can channel spells through her blade. Errol pauses. He didn't know magic was allowed in a sword tournament. Lilia clarifies. Guild members can enter regardless of class. Doesn't matter what your class actually is. If you're in a guild, you're in. Announcer calls Errol's match. Lilia wishes him luck. He walks out into the arena. Meets the red-haired magic swordswoman. She flatly declares she's a magic swordsman, her class is legal in the tournament, and she doesn't want to hear any whining afterwards. Errol says no complaints. Best fighter wins. Match starts. She opens with fireballs. Rapid-fire volley. Errol slides through them like it's a rhythm game. Dodges a few, deflects one, cuts another mid-air. She keeps firing. She's got a lot of mana. He starts closing the distance. He tries to end it quickly. She counters with another fireball at point-blank range, and he has to back off. He observes. Comments out loud that it must be convenient to just swap between long-range fire and melee sword whenever she wants. She grins. Says her talents are natural. A classless nobody could never keep up. Errol tells her calmly that she dabbles in both, but hasn't mastered either. Her face flashes red. She channels magic into her sword. Blade catches fire. She proudly declares only a real magic swordsman can wield a burning blade. She swings. A wave of fire arcs at him. He steps aside, cuts the fire wave in half. But, he'll admit inside, she's slippery. Her footwork mixed with sudden ranged bursts is genuinely hard to predict. He compliments her out loud. She smirks. Then he stops moving. He stands in place and blocks every one of her fire-infused strikes. Same spot, same stance. Doesn't step off his foot. Tells her, quietly, if her sword foundation had been solid, she could have made this hard on him. Right now, she's barely a step above a background character. Devastating. She snaps. Wild flurry. He punches through her rhythm with a twin slice that snuffs her flaming blade out cold. She's still processing that when he blink steps behind her and taps her out with the blunt of his sword. Arena erupts. Announcer calls it. Errol wins his bracket. Advances to the main tournament. Meanwhile, in his head, he's already breaking down her mixed magic sword technique, wondering how he can replicate it and improve it later. Cut ahead. Days later, the main tournament kicks off tomorrow. Lilia stomps back into the guild to drag her dad to the finals. He mumbles from bed that he isn't going. She calls him a coward. Is he scared of Jorg? Rod snaps. Says he's not scared of Jorg. Then he lowers his voice. Confesses something raw. He picked up a sword yesterday for the first time in years, and realized how rusty he's gotten. Says he probably couldn't win the Sword God Cup anymore. Lilia goes off. Reminds him she didn't even qualify, and he's sitting here calling himself rusty when he could still make a real run. Most swordsmen train their whole life and don't make it past round 1, and he still has what it takes. Get up! Rod stares at her, and gets up, because his daughter is right. On the walk to the stadium, Rod remembers when he used to train Reiner, back when he had both arms. long time ago. That kid, his oldest surviving student, is fighting today. He wonders how she'll do. Backstage, Reiner's leg is bouncing non-stop. She's staring at the ground when Errol slides up next to her and asks if she's nervous he'll draw her first. She reflexively throws a punch. He catches it mid-air. Announcer's voice booms. Opening match. Reigning champion Jorg against the mysterious classless swordsman, Errol. Errol stands up. Reiner reaches out, grabs his hand, wishes him luck. He smiles. He steps onto the sand. From the stands, Lilia screams a battle cry so unhinged the audience turns and stares. Something about ripping Jorg into 64 pieces. Errol looks across the field and immediately stops smiling. Because Jorg is walking out of the tunnel, and Jorg's eyes are glowing purple. A fang juts out of his mouth. A horn twists out of his forehead. His whole presence has changed. It's not a champion warming up, it's something else wearing his skin. Errol goes on full alert. Rod, up in the stands, sees the sword in Jorg's hand, and immediately recognizes it. Screams for Errol to stay back. That is not a normal blade. That's a cursed one, and what's inside it is not Jorg anymore. Errol grips his sword tighter. The fight of his life is walking straight at him. Nothing about this is going to be normal swordsmanship. Round 1 of the Sword God Cup just became something a whole lot older, a whole lot darker, and a whole lot deadlier. Rod's voice cuts across the stadium. He tells everyone the sword Jorg is holding contains a demon seal. It's not just a weapon. It's a prison. And the prisoner just got out. Jorg, or the thing wearing Jorg, smiles. Deeper voice. Warped. He casually admits he didn't expect anyone in the crowd to recognize what he's become. Lilia is lost. Doesn't Jorg know who Rod is? Why is he acting like he's never met him? Rod explains. The man they knew is gone. The demon in the sword has taken the driver's seat. Jorg is a passenger in his own body now. Then Rod drops the real bomb. That blade, that specific blade, is the original sword the sword deity used to defeat the Demon King. The Demon King, before dying, cursed it. Tainted it so completely that it was sealed away in the royal vault, never to be drawn again. Guess where it ended up? The demon inside grins, confirms every word, says he waited centuries, patient, quiet, waiting for the right host. Jorg was that host. Ambition, ego, entitlement, the perfect landing pad. Then he introduces himself, voice booming across the stadium. Gelda, the destroyer of mankind. The crowd hears it. A whole coliseum of thousands, hearing the name of a bedtime story demon spoken out loud by a real thing that just took over a national champion. Panic hits like a wave. People rush the exits, trip over each other. Full stampede. Reiner rushes onto the field. She thought Gelda was pure myth. A story parents told kids about the demon who wanted to wipe out the world. It's supposed to be a folk tale. Gelda is enjoying every second of the chaos. The sound of screaming humans is music to him, and he's not letting anyone go early. He carves a massive magic circle into the ground under his feet. It flares up. A dome of swirling dark magic snaps into place over the entire stadium, sealing it. Nobody in, nobody out. Trapped audience, trapped fighters. Buffet menu. He tells the crowd he's going to slaughter every last one of them for entry, and Errol just stands there. Sword drawn, not backing up, not blinking. Gelda actually laughs, tells him to run while he can. Errol says no. If a demon like this was beaten once before, he can be beaten again. Gelda's laugh gets bigger, reminds him the last defeat came at the hands of a sword deity. And, reading Jorg's memories, Gelda knows there isn't a single sword deity in the current era. Errol tells him, yes there is. His mother. The demon pauses, then laughs harder, says Errol wasn't born a deity himself. Errol shrugs. Doesn't matter. He's confident he can still bring the demon down. Gelda bursts into a full villain cackle. Errol vanishes. Divine step. Zero warning. Behind Gelda instantly. Slash. Gelda barely deflects it. Steps back. Eyes go wide. He knows that footwork. That's divine step. That's sword deity technique. But Errol doesn't give him a second to think. He's already at another angle. Then another. Then another. Divine step over and over, striking from every direction, pressing the demon non-stop. Gelda recovers. Reminds him, Jorg's body is elite. Sword Emperor tier. This body doesn't go down easy. He leaps up, drops from the air, and crashes down on Errol's shoulder. Slams him into the dirt. Massive impact. Dust everywhere. He thinks it's done. Dust clears. Errol is standing. Barely a scratch on him. because Reiner beat him half to death every day for weeks with that heavy sword. He can eat that hit. Gelda charges again. Errol swats him aside like nothing, then flips the whole tempo. Infinite break. The rapid-fire chained assault erupts. Blade blurring, strikes from every angle. Errol pressures him with such raw speed that Gelda can barely block. And with every strike, the demon's ancient memory keeps firing warning bells. He knows that pattern. He's seen it before. From the sword deity that beat him, centuries ago, he refuses to believe some random human kid is running deity-tier swordsmanship. Errol doesn't care what he believes. He fires off a finisher. Slam. Gelda drops. Dust everywhere. Crowd cheers. They think it's over. Errol just soloed a legendary demon. Not yet. Because Gelda's real body was never Jorg. His real body is the sword. Everything Errol did just now, every strike, only chipped the host. Gelda's essence is fine. And he needs another vessel fast. He shoots out of Jorg's collapsing body like smoke, straight toward Rod. Errol reads it in a split second. Not fast enough to intercept, but fast enough to shove Reiner out of the way. Rod steps forward, between the demon and Lilia, and catches the incoming cursed sword. Dust settles. Rod is standing there, face slack, eyes glowing. Cursed sword in his hand, blade pressed against Lilia's throat. Errol locks up. Everyone locks up. Rod's own daughter, one twitch of a possessed arm away from bleeding out on tournament sand. Gelda smirks through Rod's mouth, tells Errol to move an inch, and Lilia dies. But Errol just moves, doesn't listen, walks toward them, tells Gelda flatly, "You can't kill her. Reiner is losing it." Why is he provoking a demon holding a sword to a girl's throat? Errol sees what everyone else missed. He watches Gelda try to force Rod's arm to slash Lilia across the neck. The arm doesn't move. Gelda is inside a body he can't control. Rod is fighting back. From the inside. And Rod's willpower is not Jorg's willpower. Errol tells him, Rod is stronger than Jorg ever was. Possessing him is not the same job. Rod's face twitches. His arm shakes. Then, in one violent motion, he rips the sword away from Lilia's throat and stabs it straight into the ground. Lilia stumbles free. Reiner catches her. Gelda tries to lash back. Tries to force Rod to pick it up again. Rod refuses. The two of them wrestle inside the same skull. Rod's face contorts, sweat pouring. Then, with a full-body scream, he tears Gelda's presence out of himself, rips himself clean, and in one final push, he hurls the cursed sword through the air, straight at Errol. Errol doesn't even wait. Blade already up, full swing, slice. The cursed sword shatters into dust in mid-air. The dust glitters for a moment, then dissolves. Nothing left. Gelda, the destroyer of mankind, the Demon King's final curse, the thing that hunted centuries for a host, gone. Just like that, blown away like ash. Dome of dark magic overhead cracks and dissipates. Sunlight pours back into the stadium. Silence. Then a roar of applause you can feel in your chest. Rod drops to his knees, drained. His daughter runs to him. Reiner is trembling but grinning. Announcer takes about 10 seconds to gather himself, and then calls it. Errol wins the round. Which, because everyone else in the tournament basically forfeited or scrambled during the demonic possession, effectively wins the whole thing. Sword God Cup, champion, the classless kid, every guild that laughed him out of a lobby, every receptionist who told him to leave, every A-ranker who called him a nobody. They all just watched a classless boy solo a legendary demon and win the national tournament in the same match. Face slap tier level, nuclear. That night is chaos. Guild is packed. Drinks flying. Rod, still shaken from possession, is refusing to drink and drinking anyway. Lilia is dancing on furniture. Reiner keeps trying to stop her. Everyone tries to hug Errol. Errol dodges everyone on reflex. Every hug attempt ends in a faceplant. Lilia is fully strategizing marriage now. Reiner is fully strategizing arguments against Lilia's marriage plan. But Errol has been thinking about something else all night. And it's a decision he made the second the tournament trophy landed in his hand. He's leaving. Not right away, but soon. Because he's outgrown Brea. There's nothing left here he can learn by hitting things with a sword. Every trick they know, he's picked apart. Every rank they respect, he's flattened. Time to move on. He doesn't tell them yet. He lets the night breathe. Rod, deep in his cups, keeps glancing at Errol. Because Rod, better than anyone, understands what this kid just did in one match. And he understands, better than anyone, that Errol's a comet passing through, not a resident. Later, when it quiets down, Rod pulls Errol aside. No drinking, no jokes, just thanks. For dragging his broken old man into a fight worth fighting again. Errol nods, reminds him it's never too late to pick the blade back up. Rod smiles a small, tired smile. He knows. Cut to a couple mornings later. The guild is spiking with attention. New applicants lining up outside. Because thanks to Errol's tournament run, Dragon Fang isn't a joke anymore. It's the guild that produced the classless champion. Rookies are practically banging on the door. Rod is running drills in the yard. Actually running drills. His energy is back. He's yelling at students to stop leaning on their class skills and learn how to actually defend themselves without a system prop. Students are half dead in the dirt, begging for mercy. Rod grins. First real grin in years. Behind a wall, one recruit is hiding, trying to catch a break. Lilia spots him. Calls him out. He whines about her dad. Lilia sighs. Yeah, Rod's on a whole new intensity level since Errol showed up. Recruit asks where Errol even is. He hasn't seen him all day. Lilia's face falls. She tells him Errol left the guild. Left the city. Reiner also took off. She figured Reiner went after him. Lilia's held it together up to this point. Saying it out loud breaks her. She sits down and cries a little. Not that she thought Errol was hers. She just wanted a goodbye. Meanwhile, Errol is already on the road. Same carriage. Same driver. Night turn. Remember, the retired holy knight who chauffeurs when he needs a break from war. He's stunned to hear that Errol not only entered the Sword God Cup but won it, and is now leaving the peak of his own fame behind. Errol tells him it's simple. He learned everything Brea could teach. He's going home. Then he's going to try to beat someone he's never beaten before. His mom. Small village. Same house he grew up in. Farah is out in the garden picking flowers. Errol tries to sneak up behind her. She calls him out without turning around. Welcomes him home. Notes casually that he's grown stronger, because she didn't sense him until he was already close. And Farah is a sword saint. That's saying something. Errol tells her he won the Sword God Cup. She lights up like it's Christmas. She won it too at his age. Then he asks, "Spar?" She flashes forward instantly, standing right in front of him. Same distance in an instant. It was playful, but her flowers are still in her hand. If those were swords, Errol would already be in the ground. Which is exactly why he wants this fight, she agrees. Just not in the house. They'd flatten it. Meet her on the mountain training ground. Cut to open field. Farah smiling. Says she wants to see how strong her boy has really gotten. Then she launches into a divine step and closes on him in a blink. Same technique she used the first time. But Errol has fought Jelda. He's built a counter now. He raises his sword, blocks her attack. Then he leaps up. Divine slash into twin blade slash. Chained combo. Air pressure. Farah deflects everything. Impressed. Actually impressed. Not mom impressed. Sword Saint impressed. She's watching him improvise a fusion of two techniques on the fly. Errol asks what block she used. He didn't recognize it. She smiles. Says she wasn't using a technique. She was just swinging her sword. Because watching Errol grow up copying skills taught her something too. Don't lean on the technique. Read the moment. Basic swings can beat class skills if the read is right. Errol grins. Learning even mid-duel. Down in the village, people hear booms echoing off the mountain. Everyone panics. Thinks a monster is attacking. It's just mom and son cracking the sound barrier trying to kill each other with love. Farah uses Divine Presence, a slowing pressure aura she used to shut down young Errol in seconds. Now, nothing. He walks right through it. He's mastered the counter to it. That skill is dead against him. Farah is grinning ear to ear. Time to stop holding back, she says. Errol says the same thing. They charge. Infinite break at the same time. Blades collide in a chain of impossibly fast strikes. Neither backs down. Sparks. Dust. And after the dust settles, Errol wins. Actually wins. Beats his mother, Sword Saint. The reason he even started swinging a blade. She's smiling. She admits she's out of practice. She hasn't grinded seriously in years. It's not a full power version of her. She'll be honest with herself about that. But she's still proud. Elsewhere in town, Reiner has just arrived. She's back home after training. The streets are strangely empty. The booms from the mountain distracted the whole village. She doesn't care about that. She's here for one thing. She knocks on Errol's front door. Mira opens it. Mira takes one look at Reiner. Locks in on her chest immediately. Calls her a cow. Tries to slam the door shut in her face. Reiner is bewildered. Why does everyone keep calling her a cow? and jams her foot in the door. Says she just wants to talk to Errol. Mira insists that her brother would never want anything to do with a redhead like her. Right then, Errol and Farah come strolling back down the trail, covered in dust and looking bruised in that satisfied way people look after a really good fight. Farah spots Reiner and Mira, tells Mira to knock it off, and welcomes Reiner in. Reiner scans them. Bruises. Torn clothes. Asks what happened. Farah casually explains they were just having a mother-son spar. Might have gone a little too far. Mira's eyes go wide. Asks who won. Farah tells her Errol did. Reiner freezes. Errol beat a sword saint. Errol immediately deflects. Says his mom wasn't at full form, and it wouldn't be fair to call it a real win. Farah pretends to be offended, then he softens it by telling her she's still too beautiful to be called out of shape. Inside at the table, Farah is already gushing to Reiner about how romantic all this is. Errol living with Reiner in Brea, she says. Reiner nearly chokes and clarifies. They lived in the same guild house. Nothing happened. Nothing at all. Farah pretends to believe her. Barely. Reiner turns to Errol, asks why he left so suddenly without saying goodbye. He tells her he actually did submit a resignation before leaving. She tells him that's not the point. He nods. Fine. He'll remember for next time. Then Reiner turns to Farah, bows. Formally, asks Farah if she'll take her on as a disciple. Farah blinks, big smile forming. Then, perfect comedy timing, the door slams open. Evans, Reiner's dad, village guard captain, charging in, panicked, telling Farah they need to prepare. Monsters may be attacking the mountain. Farah and Errol both slowly look at each other. Because yeah, the monster was them. Farah, in a burst of instant social calculation, decides now is not the time to admit anything. She lies with a smile. Monsters already dealt with. Evans exhales in relief, then finally notices his daughter, asks when she got back. Then he really looks at her, and realizes she looks a lot like her late mother. He asks what she's doing at Farah's house. Farah, mischief mode fully engaged, cheerfully tells him Reiner is here to learn how to be Errol's future wife. Evans's eyes fill with tears of joy. His baby girl is getting married. Reiner turns red, panics, corrects him, tells him she just wants to learn swordsmanship from Farah. Evans is undeterred. Reiner turns to him for backup. He backs Farah instead. He's happy Reiner will learn something other than combat. He hands her over to Farah and walks out saying to do her best. Reiner is left staring, watching her entire life get rerouted by one lie from Farah. Meanwhile, Errol is heading to his father's study. Leon has been buried in research this whole time. Doesn't even flinch when Errol walks in, because he heard the booms too and figured it out. Errol asks how the research is going. Leon says close, very close, could produce a legit ultimate technique. Then Leon casually asks if it's true Errol brought home a cute girlfriend. Errol shrugs. Gorgeous, actually. But he isn't here to gossip. He tells his dad he beat Farah in a duel today. He wants Leon to teach him magic. Leon doesn't even look up. Nope. He tells Errol to forget it. Down in the kitchen, Farah is trying to teach Reiner how to cook. Reiner's whole life is combat, zero life skills. She grips the table and immediately snaps it in half by accident. Apologizes profusely. Farah just laughs. Fine. They'll start from the very basics. Errol and Leon come down. Errol asks why Leon doesn't just magic the table back together. Leon says Farah likes it when he does things by hand. Then, because Errol looks interested, Leon quietly picks up Mira's broken mug and casts rebuild. The mug reassembles like time reversed. Errol watches this and mentally makes a note. While putting supplies away, Leon warns him, don't get his hopes up. Yes, a classless kid can learn to swing a sword. That's been proven. Magic is different. Magic isn't just skill. It needs a mana pool. And a mana pool isn't something you train up from zero. You either have it or you don't. Errol asks, if he had some mana in his body, could he learn a few spells at least? No class required? Leon says technically yes. If mana existed in the body, some basic magic is possible even without a class. But he doubts Errol has any, because if he did, he would have accidentally triggered a spell at some point in his life. Errol says he actually does have mana. Leon stops. Errol explains. Back at the guild in Brea, during his brutal training with Reiner, he was burning through holy water at a stupid rate. Lilia, trying to save money, dug through the storage and gave him old mystery potions instead. Reiner warned him not to drink them. They could be poison. Errol drank them anyway. Because Errol logic. If they were poisonous, he could level up a poison resistance skill. Big brain. They didn't poison him, but they did something. He can feel it, even now. Not divine protection, something else. Leon's eyes light up. If Errol's right, he might genuinely have a shot at learning magic. Leon tells him to try. Move that internal energy. Focus it into one point in his palm. Errol tries. Nothing at first. Then, faint. Very faint. A blue glow. Small, weak. Leon lights up. Small glow or not, it is proof. Errol has mana. Barely enough for a candle, but it's there. And that's a starting point. Errol immediately gets dizzy. That tiny light drained everything he had. Leon lays it out. Before Errol casts any real spell, he has to expand his mana pool. Massively. It's going to take grinding. Grinding is Errol's exact skill set. Next morning, our guy marches into the item shop and dumps a mountain of gold on the counter. Buys every mana potion they have. Then rewinds the same drain and refill grind he did with holy water, this time for mana. 6 months later, Leon is congratulating him. He can now stably float a ball of mana in the air. His pool has grown. But his output is still around the level of a normal 10-year-old with a mage class. Long road ahead. Leon hands him a piece of parchment covered in dense, alien-looking runes. Magiscript. The written language of spells. Leon explains it fast. Mage class holders auto-load Magiscript for every spell in their kit. Comes with the divine class. Errol doesn't get that. He has to memorize every single spell script by hand. That's brutal work. Leon suggests something bigger. If Errol wants to seriously scale up, he should head to Arzbel, the city of magic, home of the 6 magic schools. Every kind of magic taught there. But Errol still needs to grow his mana pool more before Arzbel will even let him through the door. 3 years. 3 straight years of grinding. Errol drinking potions, casting, draining, refilling, casting again, studying Magiscript by candlelight. Leon coaching him. Reiner living with them the whole time, quietly rising through Farah's training and her separate homemaking curriculum. Actually, pause here for a second on Reiner, because she's been putting in a very specific kind of work. Sword training with Farah, sure, but she has also been quietly failing at tea, cooking, and cleaning for 3 years straight. And this particular morning, Farah asked her to make tea alone for the first time. Reiner freaked out. She stared at the leaves, boiled the water, poured with shaky hands, walked the cup to Farah like it was carrying nitroglycerin. Farah took one sip, paused, then smiled and told Reiner it was perfect. Reiner didn't expect to feel that happy, but she did. Tiny, quiet victory. Not the kind of victory you get from a sword. The kind you get from finally landing something you're bad at. Which lasted about 6 seconds. Because upstairs, Mira started shrieking. Errol is gone! Reiner and Farah run up. Same story as before. Empty bed. One note. The note says he's going to Arzbel. Alone. Now. Farah goes quiet. She's a little hurt he didn't say goodbye. Again. But not surprised. Mira bursts into tears. And Reiner has a flashback to when she left home for Brea the same way. Same silent bounce. She realizes now that her own family probably felt the exact same crack in the chest that Mira is feeling right now. Farah turns to Reiner, softly. Tells her she doesn't ever want Reiner to vanish like that too. Reiner promises she won't. She's still got too much to learn. Farah looks off at nothing, thinking about her older daughter, the one who left years ago, and now Errol, and you can feel the weight in her eyes. Something to remember, because that older daughter is going to matter later. Cut to the road. Errol on the same driver's bench next to Nightturn. Nightturn is thrilled and confused all over again. Kid, why do you keep doing this? First you tear through the Sword God Cup and leave. Then you disappear for 3 years. Now you're headed to Arzbel? Errol shrugs. He wants to see how a classless kid does against a full room of mages. Suddenly, from the passengers behind them, a red-haired kid pipes up. Aggressive vibe. Asks Errol if he's headed to the Magic Academy entrance exam too. And squints. Errol looks older than a normal first-timer. Before Errol can answer, a blue-haired girl scolds the boy for being rude. Then she smugly assumes Errol has failed the exam year after year. That's why he's older. Very inspiring, really. She admires his persistence. Errol opens his mouth to explain that this is his first try. She cuts him off. The red-haired kid loses it at her. They start bickering. A green-haired girl steps in trying to defuse them. Not doing great. The red-haired kid snaps back to Errol and asks what kind of magic he's into. Loudly proud that he's a red mage. Fire. Errol thinks back to his dad's crash course. 6 affinities. Black is dark, white is light, yellow is earth, green is wind, blue is water, red is fire. 6 schools, 6 colors. Errol never showed a natural tie to any of them, so Leon just trained him in all 6 as a backup plan. He tells the kid the truth. He doesn't have a class, doesn't know what type suits him. Kid stops. Blue-haired girl scoffs and says Errol is obviously messing with him. A classless nobody would never be allowed to sit the academy exams. Errol pulls out his class card, holds it up. Class field, blank. All 3 kids stare. This is the same reaction Errol has been getting his whole life. Their brains simply refuse to process it, because obviously a nobody can't take those exams. Then the ground rumbles. A massive roar cuts through the trees. Something big waking up. Errol recognizes the sound. Troll King. Red kid immediately starts screaming. Troll Kings are ridiculously strong. They need to run. Blue-haired girl shouts at the driver to get them out. Night Turn twists around, panicking. Horses passed out from the roar. Can't move. Blue-haired girl steadies, lays out a plan. A troll is a troll. Slow and dumb. If they work together, 3 mages can handle 1. Then the Troll King lumbers out of the trees. Twice as big as normal. Club the size of a house. Both girls collapse on top of each other in fear. Their spells aren't going to touch that thing. Red kid tries to be tough. Won't lose face in front of them. Jumps out of the carriage. Raises his wand. Fires his strongest fireball with everything he has. Impact. Smoke rises, smoke clears. Troll King unscratched, just angrier. Red kid froze. He blew all his mana. Empty. Troll roars. Charges him. Explosion. The Troll King vanishes in a wave of fire. Reduced to nothing. Ash on the wind. Everyone freezes. Errol steps out from behind. Rubs the back of his head. Says he maybe overdid it a little. Red kid, speechless. Girls whispering to each other about how Explosion is elite mage tier, and Errol just tossed one out like he was checking his mail. Errol walks over to the horses, casts a low-level heal. Horses wake up. He turns back around. The red-haired kid is already on his knees, begging Errol to take him as a disciple. Wants to become a top-tier wizard one day. Errol tells them it's not what they think. He's just a test taker like they are. Shows the class card again. Blank field. The green-haired girl smiles and decides he's an elite mage cosplaying as a nobody to keep a low profile. Sure, whatever. Errol gives up and gets back in the carriage. Days later, at sunrise, Arsbel rises out of the mist. A whole city built beside a wide lake, ringed by drawbridges that lift and lower to control who enters and when. The girls, dumbfounded, are watching the loud red-haired kid follow Errol around like a well-trained puppy, peppering him with questions. Turns out Red Kid is going for the red magic exam, which means he's stuck with Errol. Blue girl and green girl are headed to blue and green respectively. Kaido, that's the red kid. Kufa, the blue-haired girl. Colette, the green-haired girl. Errol learns that Arsbel sorts students by element. 6 schools. Kaido's school for red, Kufa's for blue, Colette's for green. Plus yellow, white, black. He walks up to a reception desk and quietly hopes they won't slam the door in his face like Brea did. Receptionist smiles, stamps his card, hands him his exam number. Errol asks, "Even without a class?" She looks up, calmly, and tells him the exam is open to every applicant. Nobody is turned away. Sinks in. Arsbel is not Brea. This place doesn't care. Errol heads to the testing field. A line of kids taking turns firing basic fireballs at a metal knight dummy. One of them lands a small flame. Pass. Then a big show-off struts up. Bright red hair, massive ego walking. Loudly asks the examiner if he's allowed to blow up one of the metal knights. Examiner checks his card. Notes that he's advanced tier. Very rare rank. Silent respect from the crowd. Show-off steps up. Casts. A pillar of fire wraps the knight. Big flashy display. He looks around basking in it. Kaido, because Kaido has 0 survival instinct, announces to everyone that Errol could do that without breaking a sweat. The show-off whips around, insulted, points at Errol. Says a nobody can't beat an advanced mage. Kaido loudly says Errol would eat him for breakfast and take him out the other end by lunchtime. The show-off laughs. Nobody else in this crowd could pull off elite fire magic like his. Errol politely cuts in and points out that the Metal Knight didn't actually take any damage. It's still standing, Examiner explains. The knights are forged from mithril, one of the toughest metals in the world. It doesn't just melt from surface heat. Kaido keeps yelling from behind. Errol turns to him and smacks him upside the head, then walks into the testing zone. He decides to use the same eruption spell as the show-off. Everyone leans in, because if Errol pulls off the same visible spell, he loses to the show-off's advanced tier, right? Errol casts. His eruption is small, just a tight pillar of concentrated flame, weak-looking. The show-off bursts out laughing. Then his laugh cuts in half, because the Mithril Knight collapses, straight into a puddle of molten metal. The show-off stares. Melted mithril, impossible with basic eruption. Errol explains casually, he modified the spell, compressed all the heat into a tight column, way hotter than a normal eruption's wide spread. Basic tweak. The show-off has no words. Errol walks out, cleared, passes. He then walks to the Blue Magic School. Kufa is in there just finishing her own passing test. She turns and sees him step into the testing zone right after her, casts Ice Edge. The Metal Knight shatters like glass. Pass. He walks out, heads to green. Colette is at the entrance, terrified, hasn't even registered yet. Errol pep talks her, walks her to the desk, gets her signed up. Green magic test. Basic, spin a windmill with wind magic. Errol casts a full whirlwind and shreds the entire windmill. Instructor speechless. Pass. Then Colette goes. Nervous. Errol steadies her one more time. She casts a smaller version. Windmill spins. Pass. 3 down. Yellow. Pass. White. Pass. Both blow past. Then black. Errol walks up to the Black Institute. Whole place looks abandoned. Cobwebs, silence, one nervous shopkeeper vibe. No line at all. He hears rustling from a crate. Goes to investigate. Suddenly a weepy voice calls out. A creepy-looking woman is running around sobbing about her lost pet. Errol points at the crate. Something's moving in it. She tears it open. Pulls out this bizarre little toad creature with mismatched limbs, like a chimera from an art project that got out of hand. She proudly tells Errol she designed it herself. Cute, right? Errol forces a polite smile. Then a skeleton materializes right behind him. Errol reacts on pure instinct, whips his wand, beheads the skeleton. The skeleton bends down and casually picks up its own skull like it just dropped its wallet. Errol asks what the skeleton is. The woman waves it off, bubbly little office lady voice. She introduces herself, Latalia. She's the receptionist there. Errol asks where the exam is. She tilts her head. There's no exam. Black School takes anyone who walks in. No standards, no line, no selection. They barely get applicants. Just like that. 6 schools. All 6 admissions cleared. Outside, Kaido, Kufa, and Colette pounce on him. They're arguing over which school Errol picked because they all know he passed all 3 of theirs. Errol tells them the truth. He passed every school, all 6, and he's enrolling in every single one. The kids freeze. Kufa says that's impossible. Nobody enrolls in more than one. It's not allowed. Errol pulls out all 6 student IDs from all 6 schools. They stare. Turns out the schools each keep their own private student records. Nobody cross-checks. Errol found the loophole and drove a truck through it. Kaido notes the obvious flaw. Class schedules will conflict wildly. Errol shrugs. Attendance is only 20% of the grade. If he crushes exams, he's fine. Colette adds that textbooks don't cover everything taught in class. Errol asks if the 3 of them will share notes. They all say yes on the spot. That knocks it down to 3 classes he needs to physically attend. Black doesn't have fixed hours, so really just white and yellow's mornings. Manageable. The 2 girls pull each other aside for a private conference. Kaido and Errol wait. Kaido asks him to grab the first Red School lecture with him. Sure. At the Red Institute lecture hall, Kaido and Errol grab seats in the back. Before they can sit, that same show-off mage from the entrance exam calls Errol out. His name is Royce. Ah, right, that guy. Royce demands to know how a nobody outperformed an advanced tier mage. Errol tells him again, he's not a spellcaster, not a mage, not an archmage, just classless. Royce refuses to believe it. Assumes Errol must secretly be some ultra-rank archmage lying low. Teacher walks in for class. Roy immediately demands the teacher confirm Errol's class. Teacher pulls up the roster, confirms Errol is classless. Errol nods. Yep, Royce is speechless. Kaido leans over, says get used to it. Errol does things like this constantly. Teacher gets going. Today's lesson, Magiscript. Kaido is struggling to keep up. Errol is bored. His dad taught him this stuff years ago. He wonders out loud why they even bother teaching Magiscript when a mage class auto-loads it in the brain. Right on cue, the teacher answers the room, says yes, class holders can cast without ever reading a script. But knowing the actual script under the spell is the difference between just casting and controlling. Rewriting a spell's shape, modifying its effect, optimizing power. That takes reading and understanding the code. Errol nods. Because that is exactly what he did at the entrance exam. He didn't cast Eruption, he rewrote Eruption. Class ends. Errol tours the other institutes. Most of the lessons don't teach him anything new. Only one grabs him. A Green Institute lesson on flight magic. Errol has literally never flown before. Colette almost falls over laughing that a guy who casually rewrites advanced spells doesn't know how to fly, Errol explains. He asked his dad to teach him flying, several times. Leon refused every time, because Leon is a mage lord, and terrified of heights. Even for research, even for family, he will not touch flight magic, ever. The lesson starts. Instructor tells students to visualize an updraft under themselves. Class users have flight skill preloaded, so the visualization just triggers the class magic and they lift off. Errol has no flight skill. He has to make wind magic actually do the work by hand. Colette catches on quickly and lifts off. Wobbles. Drops. But she smiles. She'll get it. Errol thinks, okay. Everyone visualizes an updraft. Can he just conjure a small tornado under his feet? He tries. He gets shot hundreds of meters into the sky, then slams back into the ground. Colette runs over panicking. He's fine. He notes he'll need to tone the tornado way down next time. Right then, a smug upperclassman glides over. Shows off elite flight technique. Actually smooth. Actually pretty. Introduces himself and brags he's been perfecting his flight skill since class awakening. Never lost a race. Errol asks what race. Colette explains. The Green Institute holds an annual flight race. Anyone can enter. It's basically the school's biggest event. Errol immediately says he'll enter the next one. Upperclassman laughs. 2 months away. There's no way. Even a talented mage takes at least 6 months of daily practice to fly stably enough to race. Hovering is easy. Real flight is hard. He advises Errol to wait until next year. Then he flies off. Colette turns to Errol. 2 months isn't going to be enough, right? Errol just says, 2 months is exactly what he needs. Cut ahead. Nights are dark in Arsbel, and Kaido is being dragged out to school after dark by Kufa. Colette says she forgot something and is too scared to go alone. Kufa is even more scared. So Kaido has to come. Kaido calls her out. If it's Kufa and Colette, why does he need to come? Colette lets it slip that it was Kufa's idea to bring him, because there's been talk of a ghost wandering the school at night. Kaido, a fire mage of great power and dignity, immediately panics. Because he is terrified of ghosts. Kufa teases him. He fires back that Kufa has been clinging to Colette all evening, so she's clearly just as scared. They bicker. Colette tries to calm them down. Then all three of them freeze mid-argument and stare over Colette's shoulder in raw horror. Because there is a figure right outside the window behind her. Before Colette can turn around, the window slides open and a hand claps over her mouth. Kaido whips out his wand and threatens to incinerate the intruder on the spot if they don't let Colette go. Familiar voice tells him to chill out before he wakes the whole building. Hood comes down. Errol. The three of them collapse in relief and demand to know what he's doing at school after midnight. Errol tells them casually, he's been sneaking in every night for weeks, practicing flight magic. Because he only has 2 months to win a race that everyone says takes 6 months to train for. 0 downtime. They're floored. Kaido asks if he's not exhausted. Errol thanks him for the concern and mentions he already napped outside before they showed up. The kids don't process this fast enough. So they ask, is he seriously casting flight magic while asleep? Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. Sleep casting stabilizes the spell until it's fully instinctive. And it doubles as mana pool training because the spell runs continuously. Efficiency stacked on efficiency. Kaido stops joking around. Just watches Errol for a moment. He knows he'll never match this level of insanity. But he decides to start pushing himself harder starting tomorrow. Kufa and Colette both quietly agree. Because that's what standing next to Errol does. It makes you level up out of embarrassment. The next morning, Errol is back in class with Kaido. Teacher is writing a spell script on the board. Errol notices an error, quietly calls it out. Teacher looks, checks. Yeah, actually, that's wrong. Corrects it. Kaido is stunned. That's not something a first year should be able to spot. Errol tells him it's easy because he's memorized every spell in the textbook by hand. Class users get spells preloaded. For Errol, memorization is the only route. Kaido can barely memorize one spell. Errol says he trims and simplifies them so they're easier to store and cast. Teacher perks up, asks Errol to write one of his rewritten spells on the board. Errol does. Teacher reads it, confirms it works, but notices Errol stripped out every built-in safety measure, the fail-safes designed to prevent spells from going critical. If anything goes wrong, this spell could blow up in the caster's face. Errol accepts that. He'd rather absorb a blast than waste script complexity on safety rails. Teacher smiles, says the kid's understanding of Magiscript is rock solid. Then he asks, does Errol want to take the promotion exam to jump to 2nd grade? Errol says yes without hesitation. Royce raises his hand from across the room. He wants in too. Teacher shrugs. Fine, off to the testing grounds. Rules? Simple. A monster is released down the track. Contestant has to bring it down before it reaches them. Royce goes first, full swagger, bounces onto the track. A Minotaur is released. Charges at him. Royce casts Eruption. Miss? Errol is impressed inside. Royce's raw power has clearly grown since the entrance exam. The Eruption is a lot heavier, but the aim is complete garbage. Teacher agrees, says loudly across the field that a strong spell you can't land is useless. Royce keeps casting, keeps missing. Minotaur closes in on him. Just before it reaches him, the safety spell yanks the monster out of the arena. Teacher tells Royce it's not shameful. Most students don't clear this exam until year 2. Royce is red-faced but chastened. Errol's turn. Track opens. A monster gets released, but this one is bigger. A second instructor sprints over to the teacher, panicking. Wrong monster. A superior Minotaur got in with the regular exam ones by mistake. Superior class is strong enough that it might actually break through the safety net. Teacher yells at Errol to get out. Errol says he's fine. He conjures 2 burning fire javelins, hurls them at the beast. It flips over them, obviously, because it's superior class. Errol curves the javelins in mid-air. They loop around and hit it from behind. While it's stunned, he blasts it with his customized eruption. Roast, full toast. Superior Minotaur down. Errol passes the 2nd grade promotion for Red School. Later, Kaido is bragging around the group about how Errol just walked into the promotion path, but Kufa notices Errol seems bothered. She asks quietly. Errol explains, the promotion only counts inside the Red School. Now he has to convince every other school's instructor to sign off too, and each school has its own gate. Next morning, Errol tracks down the Blue School instructor, tells her he wants the promotion exam. She looks at him like he's crazy. That exam runs once a year. He can apply then like everyone else. Errol pushes. Points out the recommendation system. If she personally endorses him, he takes it now. She admits that's a real rule, but it's reserved for students who are 1 in a million, not for first-year kids from other schools with delusions. Errol tells her to just watch his magic once and judge. She sighs. Says fine. If he starts attending her class like a regular student, she'll consider maybe watching him and judging him if she feels like it. Errol tells her honestly that sitting through her lectures is a waste of his time. Full stop. Whole hallway goes cold. She snaps. Asks if he really thinks her class is worthless. Errol clarifies. Her lectures might be great for beginners, but for him, rerun of stuff he already burned through. Basic. Her face goes bright red with fury. She yells that she will be the one to decide what's basic. Drags him straight to the arena. Errol is grinning inside. He got exactly the reaction he needed. Above them, Kufa is watching from a balcony. She realizes with horror that Errol just picked a fight with Hangul, Blue School instructor, 1 step short of being a full archmage. Basically top-tier magical firepower. And nobody stands there and calls Hangul's class basic. Nobody except our guy. Hangul lays out the rules. Mock duel. No physical attacks. If Errol wins, she approves his exam. Errol nods. Says he likes his odds. That gets her hotter. She's practically an archmage and this kid is being cocky? Fine. She'll bury him right now. Bell. She casts an ice storm. Enormous. A raging vortex of freezing wind. Kufa, way up in the balcony, feels the cold from where she's standing. She silently prays for Errol. The winds settle. Errol is frozen solid, sealed inside a block of ice. Hangul smirks, turns to Kufa mid-fight, teaches her a live lesson. Open with a heavy hitter. Throw them off balance, end it fast. Ice cracks. Errol punches out of it and stretches his arms. Turns out he layered protective ice shields inside his own body midway through her cast. Hangul's storm still hit hard, but not hard enough to end him. She nods, says fair, but it's not going to be enough. Errol shrugs. Won't know till we try. Then he summons ice shards. A small volley. Hangul isn't impressed. Beginner tier. She points out Kufa can barely control 2 shards at once. Then Errol doubles the count. Then doubles again. Kufa's eyes are wide because she can barely handle 2. Hangul smiles, half annoyed, half impressed. Decent, but no threat. She fires back her own volley. Their shards collide in a dazzling frozen fireworks display. She matches him 1-to-1. Says she could fire hundreds if she wanted. Errol says worth testing. He fires way more shards this time, then splits them. 100 to her right, another 100 to her left, then a wave behind her. He surrounds her. That's not just duplication. That's directional multicast. That's Archmage territory. Hangul's shards can't cover all angles. She raises an ice wall around herself. Full 360, thick, layered. Trapped inside her own defense, which is exactly what Errol wanted. She thinks he's about to run out of mana any second. She waits, ready to counter with one final decisive strike the moment he burns out. Errol beats her to the punch. He casts the finisher. There is no way he still has the mana. But he does. A massive ice spear conjures over her head, right through the ceiling of her own ice wall. Bounded by her own defense. She's boxed in. The spear drops. She scrambles a shield up. It absorbs some of the impact. Not enough. The spear punches through, slams into her. Errol exhales. Says she was one hell of an opponent. Kufa can't breathe. A student just took down a full-fledged blue school instructor, near Archmage level. Later, outside, Kufa fills everyone in. Hangul skipped the exam entirely and just promoted Errol on the spot. 3 schools down, 3 to go. And Errol is only warming up. Green school next. Errol walks up to the green instructor with Colette in tow. Asks for the promotion exam. She flatly turns him down. Green rules are different from the other schools. No exceptions. No recommendations. You test on the scheduled date like everyone else. Errol grumbles. Asks if there's any way around that. She's already annoyed. Says only the headmaster can approve an early exam. And she warns him. Bothering the headmaster over nothing gets students expelled. Fast. Errol is already plotting how to reach the headmaster anyway. She reads his face and cuts him off. Colette pulls him aside, quietly gives him the actual answer. The Academy's annual flight race. The winner gets a personal audience with the headmaster. Trophy, certificate, and a private meeting. Perfect angle. Errol grins. 2 problems solved at once. Meet the headmaster. Prove himself. And embarrass every mage who said flight can't be learned in 2 months. The green instructor overhears and laughs. Tells him not to get cocky. Over 300 contestants entering. Some of them are the school's fastest flyers. Winning that race is not a first-year stunt. Errol just smiles and says he'll win it anyway. Race day rolls in. The starting line is packed. Hundreds of contestants floating in position. Announcer hypes up the crowd. Headmaster steps up, gives a short speech. Wishes everyone a safe race. Reminds them to keep it clean. Then the little green-haired kid from before struts up. Skake, full attitude. Marches right at Errol. Errol looks at him blankly. No recognition. Skake gets furious, yells his own name. Declares he is destined to be the fastest mage on the planet. Errol just files that away. Whistle blows. Race begins. The sky lights up. Everyone launches at once. Chaos. Bumping into each other. 2 contestants get knocked out of formation and drop before the first turn. One kid rockets forward like a missile with no steering. Slams into a wall. Disqualified. 15 flyers break away from the rest. Mostly upperclassmen with high-ranking badges. Except 2 of them are first years. One is Errol. The other is Skake. Skake can't believe Errol is still up here. Demands to know how he's keeping up. Errol just says, everyone is moving slow on purpose. Because the race is long distance. Burn all your mana in the opening third, you crash before the finish. Skake stays smart. Sticks to the middle of the pack for good line to the first turn, which is a tight one, a narrow gate, then a sharp left. Some of the racers behind him try to blitz through and end up in the lake. Splash, splash, splash. Skake nails it, turns and grins, assuming Errol wiped out on the turn. Errol is right next to him. Then someone else surges past them, the reigning champion, Dion, 4-time winner of this race, Green Magic Elite. She kicks the pace up. Errol and Skake both hold on to her tail. She glances back, 2 first years still with her. Even Dion is surprised. She was expecting a solo cruise. She goes serious. Boosts to full throttle. Skake pushes to keep up, full effort, sweat pouring, and his mana finally taps out. His pace drops. He falls back into the trailing group. Errol is still there. Dion pushes harder. Errol adjusts. He knows his flight isn't naturally as clean as hers. He's been flying for 2 months. She's been flying for years. So he pulls out his trump card. He casts small pockets of compressed wind under his feet. Micro updrafts. He leaps off them mid-flight. Little propulsion bursts, like Ollie jumping off invisible platforms in the air. The commentator has no idea what he's watching. A senior instructor, Dumble, figures it out immediately. He breaks it down over the announcer's mic. Errol is generating lift not through flight magic alone, but through actual leg thrust off wind-crafted platforms. Then Dumble adds, that would require the leg strength of a top-tier swordsman, which shouldn't be possible for a mage student, except our guy has been training swordsmanship since he was 10. Never skipped leg day, not once. He matches Dion's pace. Then Dumble warns over the mic. The final stretch is coming. There's one nasty sharp corner right before the finish line. At their current speed, they both need to slow down or they'll wipe out. Dion knows this. She holds pace as long as she can, eases up before the corner. Physics perfect. Errol doesn't ease up. He barrels toward the corner at full throttle, slams a wind pocket, uses it as an anchor point, and launches himself into the turn on a perfect trajectory, clears the corner, crosses the finish line first. He wins. Full stop. 4-year defending champion Dion crosses right behind him. Skake stumbles across in third, then collapses in the sky and floats down like a dying leaf. Dion doesn't sulk. She glides over, shakes Errol's hand, and wishes him luck in whatever's next. Actual respect. The headmaster steps forward, awards Errol the medal, and Errol immediately, right there, mid-ceremony, asks for a promotion to 2nd grade. Headmaster laughs, says the performance earned it. Approved. On the spot. 3 schools stamped, 3 left. Days later, yellow school. Errol asks the teacher. She tells him promotions only come through a school showcase where students present research or inventions. Registration is closed. He'll have to wait months. Errol pushes, pleads, says he's built a whole new type of golem. Behind them, another instructor picks up on the golem talk. Ragwell, golem obsessed, combat golem specialist. He offers Errol a deal. If the golem is genuinely something new, he'll take Errol on as his research assistant and get him a reserved slot in the showcase. Errol says yes without thinking. The first teacher pulls him aside, warns him, Ragwell is brutal. He uses the showcase to publicly humiliate weaker students by pitting his golems against theirs. He signed Errol up because he wants a test subject. Errol shrugs. He fights golems for fun. Showcase day. Teachers roll out their creations. Ragwell steps into the arena. Instant crowd murmur. Students trade glances. Another rookie is about to get destroyed. Ragwell tells Errol to bring out his golem. Errol summons Alpha. The crowd stops. Because Alpha is metal. Not stone, not earth. Metal. Sleek. Efficient. Not a lumbering brute like traditional golems. Ragwell scoffs. Assumes the metal frame is too heavy to properly animate with earth magic. He suspects Errol has a person hidden inside the armor. He walks up and rips Alpha's head off. Head is hollow. Ragwell finally clocks it. Errol built Alpha out of a custom lightweight metal alloy. He assumes lightweight metal means fragile. He orders his earth golems to attack. One of Ragwell's stone golems charges. Fist raised. Alpha steps into a combat stance. The stone golem swings. Alpha stops the punch dead in its tracks. The counterforce shatters the stone golem's arm. Every student in the audience blinks. Ragwell's face falls. The damaged golem regenerates its arm. Ragwell orders all his golems to reinforce their bodies with more earth magic and attack Alpha from every angle simultaneously. Multiple stone giants coming from all directions. Alpha only has 2 arms. Errol summons swords. Multiple swords for Alpha. Alpha grabs them like it's been training with a sword saint. Actually, it kind of has. Errol built its combat routine himself. Alpha smoothly rotates into a full sword stance. Ragwell orders the final assault. All golems charge as one. Alpha does a single sweeping slash. Every golem falls. Ragwell stares at his life's work reduced to rubble by one clean cut. He argues that a golem shouldn't be able to wield advanced sword technique. That's not what golems do, Errol explains. Standard golems can't wield swords because their weight and rigidity kill mobility. Alpha uses lightweight alloy plus flexible joints. Result? Less mana consumption, huge mobility gain, real swordplay possible. Ragwell doesn't even fight the logic, because he's just watched it work. Errol asks if that qualifies for the promotion exam. Ragwell tells him assistants normally don't take it. But, if Errol officially joins his golem laboratory as a partner, Ragwell will personally request the headmaster to promote him. Errol accepts. 4 schools, 2 to go. White School. Errol meets his next instructor, Key. Her eyes are always closed. Errol asks if she's okay. She smiles and explains she was born blind. She perceives the world through magical energy instead. Every person, every object, every mana signature. Then she scans Errol. Her calm smile falters, because she sees something deep inside him. Countless bottomless streams of magical power. So much energy that she can't measure the depth. She quietly asks if he's all right. Errol says he's fine. She decides to just leave that mystery alone and lead him to his exam. The trial takes place in a cave nearby. A burial ground turned undead nest after a wave of concentrated mana warped the corpses inside. She explains the rules as they walk. Defeat a set number of undead. That's the whole exam. Errol casts a light spell so he can see. Key warns him fast. Light draws them. Skeletons start pouring out of the walls at the light. Errol calmly fires Holy Ray, sweeps them into ash. He keeps walking deeper. Key rushes to catch up. Asks him where he's going. Says he's already passed the exam. He only needed to kill a small number of undead. She's worried he'll drain his mana. Errol tells her he hasn't used 1% of his reserves. Then something bigger surges out of the dark behind them. A powerful undead. Ancient armor. Cold aura. Different tier entirely. Errol blasts it with Holy Ray on reflex. Kay's face gets serious. She recognizes what it is. A high-rank undead. She warns him to stay careful. It starts to introduce itself. Long, ceremonial name. Errol keeps hosing it with Holy Ray. It doesn't get to finish the introduction. Doesn't even get its own name out. The undead staggers. Tries again. Errol pushes to Holy Cross, a stronger holy magic technique that carves it apart. Reduces it to ash. Key stands there processing. Because Holy Cross is Exorcist tier magic. Reserved for advanced holy specialists. Errol shrugs. Feels only slightly stronger than Holy Light to him. Kay has nothing to say. She promotes him. 5 schools, 1 to go. Black School. Errol walks in. Whole building still empty. He starts flipping through books to kill time. Latalia sneaks up behind him and he decapitates her by reflex again. She scrambles to grab her head off the floor. Errol sighs. Says it's a shame the Black School doesn't run promotion exams like the others. Latalia explains. Used to. Not anymore. School's entire ranking system collapsed years back. Enrollment dried up. There's no structure left. Errol looks around. Notices how empty the reading room feels. Then he notices a door behind the reading room. Empty room beyond it. Latalia tells him that's a private testing chamber. Because black magic tends to shave years off a caster's life, they don't allow experimentation outside sealed environments. Errol looks at the empty room and decides, perfect. His personal advanced spell playground. Later, he grabs a random book to check the reference material. Opens it. The book erupts in blinding light. He shields his face. Light fades. Pages are blank. Errol's brain flags this immediately. The book was leaking magical energy on release, and there's an evil aura floating in the air right now. He turns. Locates the source. A man is floating above the room. Twisted. Amused. Thanks, Errol, for freeing him. Errol asks if he's a demon. He confirms it happily. Explains. Errol is the first person in years to touch the sealing tome. As a thank you, he'll grant Errol a reward. Errol says no thanks. Demon smirks. Says actually, to fully return to the demon realm, he needs a living sacrifice. He lunges. Errol blocks with his wand. then goes to cast an explosion spell in his face. Nothing happens. Demon smirks harder. Explains, he's cast a magic nullifying barrier over the whole ceiling of the chamber. Spells are dead in this room. Errol nods, and swings his wand like a bat straight through the demon's skull, cleaves his head off. Demon regenerates instantly. Puts his head back on, then, still smug, tells Errol that physical attacks won't kill him. Errol just starts wailing on him. Wand hits, improvised sword strikes, fists, kicks, full physical assault. The demon takes hit after hit, still ranting about how physical attacks won't work. Errol keeps going. Because our guy has been physically training since he was 10, his unarmed combat is not what you expect from a magic student. The demon shrinks his body to conserve mana. Errol keeps beating him, shrinks smaller. Errol beats him more. Eventually the demon is the size of a rat, dangling in Errol's fist. Demon finally begs. Errol stops, says fine. Then he places a magic seal on the demon's stomach, explains. This seal means the demon suffers unbearable pain anytime he even thinks about betraying his new master. To prove it, the demon tries to squirm. Instant burst of flame across his tiny body. He wails. Latalia walks in to check on the noise, sees the tiny demon writhing in Errol's palm, nearly loses it. Errol reassures her, says he made it his familiar. The tiny demon glares, not thrilled about the promotion. Errol names him Maddie. 6 schools cleared, 6 familiar tier flexes, 6 teachers promoted him. And Maddie is now his reluctant new sidekick, cursed into servitude with a pain seal. Outside, the kids catch up with Errol. Kaido, Kufa, Colette. They immediately spot the tiny demon in his palm. They start bullying Maddie, poking him, teasing him. Maddie is furious. He is a demon. From the demon realm. This is beneath him. Errol lets the kids have their fun. Then he orders Maddie to go buy them all lunch. Maddie refuses. Says he's not a delivery boy. Cue small pain seal burn. Maddie goes. While waddling to the cafeteria, Maddie silently swears he'll eventually break free from the seal and make Errol regret every second of this. For now, new mascot secured. 6 months later, a closed meeting of all 6 school headmasters. An official informs them their annual budget will now be tied to student count and staff performance. Numbers based. Black school gets hit hardest, down 40%. Black school's headmaster, protests. Loudly, says he can't fund his research on this. Rodora, the red school headmaster, mocks him. Says he should stop wasting time on childish evil spells. Guido, the white school headmaster, backs it up. Says black magic is fundamentally dangerous and the school should be shut down permanently. The official says he can't shut down a school in one meeting, but he offers one adjustment. Any school that performs well at the upcoming 6-school magic competition gets an increased budget. Winners get restored funding. Blag realizes they're stacking the deck against him, because Black School has almost no students to enter. Cut to the kids and Errol. Errol asks about this Mage Lord festival everyone keeps mentioning. The kids explain, it's the biggest event of the year. Includes the 6-school magic competition. The main attraction of the whole festival. Kaido asks if Errol is competing. He is. Rookie division. The 3 friends immediately start arguing about which type of magic he should use in his matches. Errol tells them all he's not sticking to one element. Maddie asks which school Errol will represent. Errol shrugs. The headmaster's called him for a meeting tomorrow. He'll find out then. Meanwhile, Maddie, despite being a demon, is very curious about the festival. Errol asks if he actually likes it. Maddie deflects. Says demons don't care about human parties. Errol clocks the lie. Files it away. Late that night, Blag is alone in his private lab, drawing a massive summoning circle on the floor. Muttering about proving the true power of black magic, he's trying to summon the strongest beast from the demon realm. A writhing mass of flesh erupts from the circle. He steps back to admire it. It lunges at him, swallows him whole. Seconds later, the mass fully absorbs him and starts moving. Toward the city. Morning. Errol wakes up, yawn. Maddie pokes at him to get moving. Errol mentions he was dreaming about all the madness he went through in his old school days. Meanwhile, in the green schoolyard, the 6 school heads gather to nominate their student champions for the competition. Blag is not there. The others quietly wonder if he even has a student worth nominating. They start bickering over their top nominees. Then Errol shows up. Confused. He was told to come figure out who he's representing. Every single instructor immediately shouts that Errol is representing their school. All 6 of them, in unison. 6 schools claiming 1 student. Awkward silence. Then the ground shakes. Thundering footsteps. Something huge coming toward the school. Very fast. Not far away, Kufa and the group are helping set up festival stalls. They spot a strange, slimy creature crawling up a wall. Inside its semi-transparent body, they can see the monsters it swallowed still squirming. Students scatter. Errol launches into the air on flight magic, speeds toward it. Down below, Royce steps up to stall it. Fires a fire lance. It bounces off. Royce starts channeling a bigger eruption spell to buy time. Before he can finish casting, the slime whips a tentacle at him. Dion swoops in, grabs him, pulls him out of range. Royce sputters a thank you. The slime pivots to Colette and the others. Colette stumbles and falls. Nobody close enough to reach her. Kufa slams up an ice barrier. Slime smashes right through it like it's tissue paper. Kaido fires eruption at it. Slime tanks the blast without flinching. Colette braces. Then hears Errol's voice in her head, from every pep talk he ever gave her. Never give up. She casts a tornado spell. Full effort. Way beyond her usual range. Slime doesn't budge. But she at least tried. A tentacle whips down at them. Errol drops from the sky, slashes the tentacle clean off with his wand as a blade. The instructors sprint into the plaza, yell for students to retreat. Errol pauses and asks if he's allowed to fight. The headmasters wave him back and say leave it to them. Slime edges closer. Instructors immediately guess the source. The Black School. Blag's fingerprint is all over this. But they don't have time to hunt him down. They focus on figuring out how to crack the slime's insane magic resistance. Blue Headmaster and Weedo go first. Full power magic. Nothing weak. Slime shrugs it off. Red and green headmasters combine into a raging fire tornado. Slime survives. Green Headmaster picks up on it fast. It's not just tanking, it's absorbing. The yellow headmaster tries brute force. Locks the slime in with massive earth walls. Boxes it up. For a second it looks contained. Then the slime cracks the earth walls apart from inside like it's peeling fruit. Instructors regroup. One suggests overload the slime with pure mana until it explodes. Another warns, that's exactly how it grows. Earth walls collapse. Slime emerges bigger than before, fed by the magic they threw at it. Errol watches from the side. Every spell they've tried, he already knows the theory. Every counter, he's already been drilled on. There's nothing being done here that he can steal for later. Maddie tugs at him, asks if they're just watching. Errol says wait a bit longer. Maybe the teachers have something new coming. Maddie shrugs and mutters that this slime shouldn't be here. Because that's a gluttony slime. A demon realm creature. Errol snaps around. Grabs Maddie by the collar. Maddie caves instantly. Tells him everything. Gluttony slime feeds on magic. The more mana it eats, the bigger it gets. Spells are its favorite meal. Errol asks the follow-up question. What happens if you hit it with a spell so massive it can't absorb it? Maddie laughs. Says that kind of firepower doesn't exist. Then he adds, physical attacks are also useless. Swords, blunt weapons, fists. Slime swallows all of it. Errol doesn't believe him. He drops from the sky, conjures a sword, gets into stance. Maddie stares. A magician using a blade. Why? Errol tells him to stop whining and get ready. This is going to be a fight. Meanwhile, the slime is closing on the city walls. The headmasters realize they're minutes away from full-scale catastrophe. The green headmaster suggests evacuating. Errol drops in like a missile from above. Cuts loose with Dragon Fang Slash. A lightning dragon rips through the slime. The students in the stands actually cheer. Maddie is shocked. The slime didn't absorb the strike. But Errol isn't satisfied. Because it didn't finish it either. The instructors land next to him, ask if he's a swordsman. Errol tells them he's classless. Speechless again. Same reaction as always. He tells them to fall back. Their spells will only feed the slime. If they interfere, they'll strengthen it. They hesitate. But something in his voice locks in. They believe him. They retreat to protect the students. Down below, the slime is reforming itself. Maddie smirks, proud that his fellow demon realm creature survived. Errol glares at him and says one more comment, and Maddie gets thrown into the slime as a snack. To prove the point, he dangles Maddie right in front of it. The slime backs off. Errol laughs. Says Maddie must taste bad. Maddie grins in his own weird way. Thinks the slime is scared of the two of them together. Errol decides he doesn't want the slime crawling around scaring anyone. He casts an earth wall to trap it. Then summons a ring of golems around the containment. Golems around him. Slime pinned. Errol launches a coordinated infinite break. All the golems move in sync with him. Chain strikes pouring in from every angle at the same time. The slime tears apart under the combined strikes. Students go wild in the stands, yelling for Errol to finish it. Then the golems collapse, overloaded, torn from the strain, and the slime starts reforming. Maddie grins, mocks Errol for failing again. Errol switches gears. He tells Maddie, this time he's going to use magic. Maddie rolls his eyes, reminds him the slime absorbs spells. Errol has a plan. If he pours in enough mana, he thinks he can overload the slime past its absorption capacity, force it to burst, and then destroy the debris. He starts drawing a massive magic circle. Maddie sees red magic runes drawn out, assumes basic fire spell, prepares to watch Errol get humiliated. Then Errol draws 5 more circles. 6 total, 1 for each element. Maddie stares. Errol is casting all 6 magic disciplines at once. Then Errol fuses them. 6 circles collapse into a single hybrid megacircle. Flashback trigger. Errol remembers his father, Leon, warning him. This exact spell. Never use it unless there is no other choice, because it's designed to launch a chained multi-elemental assault, but if you lose control of the fusion, it produces an explosion big enough to wipe out everything nearby, caster included. Errol had asked back then, why so dangerous? Leon had said the spell demands a massive continuous mana flow. Any mid-cast wobble, and it eats you first. Errol snaps back to the moment. He grits his teeth, starts channeling. He can feel the strain immediately, juggling 6 volatile forces simultaneously. Sweat pours off his face. The slime lunges toward the circle. Maddie smirks, expecting Errol to blow himself up. Then light floods into the circle from behind Errol. He glances back. Every student and every teacher in the plaza is pouring mana into him. All at once. A river of light streaming into his back and out through the circle. The whole city funneling everything they have into one classless kid. His stabilization locks in. Circle synchronizes. The complete elimination spell fires. The slime is erased. Entire hybrid blast obliterates it. Nothing left of the beast. Massive crater in the ground where it stood. Silence. Then a roar of cheers from every student in the city. Maddie stares at the crater, then at Errol, then at the crater again. Because in his demon logic, spells like that shouldn't work. And Errol just cast one. His entire understanding of magic just got rewritten in one blast. Errol turns to him casually. Reminds him of the trash Maddie was talking earlier. Maddie immediately switches modes. Nervously laughs. Insists he was joking the whole time. Definitely believed in Errol. From the start. The headmasters land next to him in the crater. Every one of them recognizes what he just cast. The elimination spell is legendary, a Mage Lord tier technique. They start asking how a student casts a Mage Lord spell. Errol tells them, plainly, he's classless. He learned it from his father, who happens to be a Mage Lord. Silence. Then the Red School headmaster gasps, because he actually knows Leon. Old classmate, always second best to him. Everyone had assumed Leon would lead the school one day. Then he vanished. No warning. The blue headmaster remembers a genius junior who also disappeared. Same story, Errol explains. His dad studied at every magic school. Left each one after mastering everything they had. Full clean sweep. The green headmaster asks Errol how you become a mage lord. Errol tells them, casually, you push all 6 elements to their absolute limit, together. Which lands like a slap. Because Arsbel splits the 6 elements into separate schools. Their entire academic structure prevents students from mastering all 6. Their whole institutional framework makes producing a mage lord impossible. Every headmaster stares at each other, the truth sinking in. They've been running 6 schools for centuries and their design guarantees no mage lord graduates. They need the Forbidden Black School included, integrated, respected, or they get nothing. Errol vanishes before they can ask more. He walks over to a pile of debris. Something is wiggling. He pulls out a tiny baby slime that survived the blast. Maddie wants to squish it before it grows. Errol picks it up, names it. Wob Wob, new familiar. Next morning, in Errol's room, he's taming Wob Wob. The little slime is happily consuming trash off his floor like a living vacuum. Maddie glares at Wob Wob in disgust. He does not understand how a monster he beat can bond with him this fast. Errol reminds him that slimes don't feel pain. So to Wob Wob, their fight yesterday was probably a fun game. No hard feelings, just play. Right then, the three friends barge in. Kaido, Kufa, Colette, in full panic mode. They heard he might be leaving the city. Errol asks where they got that idea. Kaido says they heard it from the teachers. Everyone is begging Errol to stay until graduation. Errol tells them there's nothing left for him to gain here. They call him cold. He softens. Promises he'll swing by now and then. Not gone forever. They ask what's next. He tells them home first. Then the monster capital. Kaido nearly chokes. Why would he go to the gathering point of the world's monsters? Errol shrugs. He has a new monster familiar. Feels rude not to visit its home. The kids notice the little black blob in his hand. Realize it's the same slime that nearly wrecked the city. They recoil. Colette points it out. Same color. Same shape. Errol laughs and says color is a coincidence. They cautiously pet it after a second. Wob Wob is unbothered. Living the life. Meanwhile, inside the 6th school council chamber, chaos. A government official is yelling at the headmasters for letting a prodigy like Errol just walk out of Arsbel. They calmly point out that trying to stop him would have ended with them flattened and Errol leaving anyway. Then, from a shadowed corner, Blag reappears. Ghostly, translucent, dropping the reveal. His body was destroyed by the slime, but his soul survived the digestion. Every headmaster stares. Blag says he now understands. The black school matters. Black magic is essential to producing a mage lord. He offers cooperation. He wants to work with the other schools to combine their curriculums using the notes Errol left behind. The teachers exchange looks, because they know the truth of what they just watched. But, accepting a ghost as a full teaching staff member is a whole new can of worms. Somewhere further out, Errol has said his last goodbyes to Kaido, Kufa, and Colette. He begins his journey home. A silent figure watches him fly away from the shadows. Errol soars through the sky. Maddie tags along. Small talk. Maddie asks about Errol's parents. Errol tells him casually they're just regular villagers. Maddie grins. Says it must be a huge deal for two classless nobodies to raise a son who mastered both the sword arts and magic arts. Errol looks at him confused. Why does Maddie think they're classless? Maddie blinks. Well, because Errol is, so they must be too, right? Errol drops the bomb. His mom is a sword saint. His dad is a mage lord. Maddie nearly falls out of the sky. How the hell are those two considered normal villagers? Errol explains. They retired forever ago. Live quietly out in the sticks now. Old adventurers. Somewhere along the flight, Errol realizes it's getting late, and the village is too far to reach before nightfall. They spot a small village along the road. Looks safe. He decides to stay overnight. He books a room, heads to the bath. Peaceful. Hot water. Steam. The door creaks open. A girl walks in wrapped only in a towel. Maddie tenses up like a startled cat. Ducks behind Errol. Errol stays relaxed. Says it's a mixed bath. She's welcome. She thanks him and slides into the water. Maddie whispers there's something off about her. Errol has already noticed, but he's curious. He wants to see what trick she's about to pull. The girl asks Errol what brings him on this journey. He tells her the truth. He's chasing strength. He wants to see how far a classless kid can go. She asks, is he classless? Yes. She asks, do people mock him? Yes, but he's used to it. They both eat separately. Later, on the way out, he spots her again, waiting by the road. She introduces herself formally. Princess Kura, of the kingdom. Then she orders Errol, under the queen's command, to come with her. Errol brushes her off. Doesn't care about her queen. Never heard of the kingdom. No. Kura lowers her voice. Admits she doesn't know why the queen wants him. Only that the queen has been searching for a classless man named Errol for a long time. That must mean something. Errol shrugs. Doesn't change anything. Kura insists the queen is divine. Would never harm him. Errol tells her he's not worried about getting harmed. He just doesn't think the queen could touch him. Kura vanishes and reappears behind him. Chops at his neck, trying to knock him out. Errol dodges without turning around. Catches her wrist. She's stunned. He warns her. If she really wants a fight, he won't hold back. He proves it by kicking her low, dropping her flat. While she's curled up gasping, he calls out to the trees. Tells the 10 hidden ninjas he already senses to come out. Stealth doesn't beat awareness. Ninjas materialize around him. Their leader demands to know how he clocked them past their elite stealth. Errol says stealth muffles presence. Doesn't erase it. He can still sense their auras. Ninja leader rushes to Kura, checks on her. Kura tells her to focus, not fuss. Reminds them not to treat Errol like a normal classless nobody. They swarm him. He dismantles the entire squad. Doesn't break a sweat. A second unit arrives. Reinforcements from the same kingdom. Stunned to see their advance team wiped. They assume ambush. Errol strolls out from behind a tree, munching on a rice ball. The lead of the new group is a woman with a dragon aura. She introduces herself. Princess Dora, Dragon Lord Tyr. Orders Errol to surrender. Behind her, a beast girl named Turga snaps that she was there first, and Errol is her capture. They start bickering. Errol sighs, cuts them off, offers a challenge. Come at him together. All out. Best techniques. They accept. Both units unload their strongest attacks at once. Dust settles. Both units flat on the ground, unconscious. Errol stands there mildly disappointed. Nobody showed him anything new. Kura stirs weakly on the ground, whispers that their queen, the divine ruler, is the strongest being alive. And if Errol dares face her, he doesn't stand a chance. Which, obviously, makes Errol want to meet her more. He flies straight to the palace. Gates are wide open. Suspicious. He crosses the drawbridge. 4 more women flank him. Each introduces herself as one of the 8 imperial generals. Each with a unique power. Each demanding he surrender. He drops all 4. Without breaking stride. At the throne room door, the last of the 8, Armella, blocks him. Stunned that he got past 4 generals like a warm-up drill. She reaches for her blade. Before she can even draw, a small figure blurs past her. Slams into Errol. Hugs him. Squeezes him like she's been holding this hug in for a decade. Errol tries to peel her off. He knows her. His older sister. The one Farah still gets sad talking about. The one who vanished years ago. The queen everyone's been afraid of. The one running an entire kingdom. Turns out, Errol's sister isn't a divine goddess. She's just his sister, who has apparently built a small kingdom from scratch. Aster. She clings to him like she'll never let go. Explains through happy tears. Years ago, when Errol was branded classless in the church, she made a private vow to build a world where nobody would ever look down on him again just because he had no class. And now, after all those years, she's finally done it. A kingdom, a capital, generals, laws, all of it. For him. She's already sent for their parents and Mira to come join them. She wants the whole family under one roof. Peaceful, beautiful, safe. No judgment, forever. She waits for him to hug back. He doesn't. He shakes his head, tells her no, says being classless doesn't limit him. It frees him. He has no fixed path, no preloaded skill tree. That means he grows however he wants. He likes the effort. He likes the grind. He likes finding out what he's actually capable of. A safe kingdom without struggle isn't a gift to him. It's a cage. Aster's smile trembles. She takes a breath and accepts it. Sort of. She acknowledges he's a grown man. He can do what he wants. Errol nods, thanks her, turns to leave. Which is when Aster pulls out her trump card. Heaven's will. Absolute command. Mind override. She uses it on him. His body freezes mid-step. He can feel his own limbs turn against him. Locked up. Body starts pivoting back toward her against his will. The generals watching are horrified, because Heaven's will is supposed to be a state secret. Aster grins. Absolutely unhinged, announces she wants to live like some old-school countryside family, then orders Errol to marry her on the spot. She rushes at him for a kiss. He kicks her in the face. Full punt. She goes flying. She hits the floor, scrambles up, and stares in disbelief. Because Heaven's will is absolute. Nobody breaks it. Errol just stands there, smug, because before he even walked into the throne room, he cast a wind barrier around his own ears. Magical noise-canceling headphones. Her command never reached his brain. His body was never bound. Aster sighs, beat by her own baby brother, again. She lets him go with a smile, makes him promise to visit sometime. He agrees, walks out, somehow still holding his composure after being kidnapped, mind-controlled, and almost married in the space of a single afternoon. By midday, he's back home. Farah pulls him into a hug the second he walks through the door. Relieved he's safe from every direction, Mira launches herself into his arms too, thrilled that Errol is back and even more thrilled that he brought a live demon and a slime as roommates. Night falls. Reiner sneaks into his room. She was probably hoping for something dramatic. She just gets a long conversation. Errol tells her everything: the 6 schools, the golem lab, the gluttony slime, the sister empress. She listens for hours, doesn't want the night to end, just wants him to stay. Morning. Mira bursts into his room. Errol's bed is empty. Another note. He's gone again. This one says he's headed to the Demon City. Reiner reads over Mira's shoulder and just smiles. She knows him now. You don't chain a comet to a fence? Up in the sky, Errol soars. Maddie grumbling next to him. Wob wobbling happily in his pocket. Wind rushing past. Sun coming up over the horizon. A classless kid. Started life written off by his own family in a church at age 10. Now flies out of one arc trailing a demon on a pain seal, a slime on his shoulder, a Sword God Cup trophy, 6 Magic Academy promotions, an Empress sister obsessed with him, a swordswoman in training waiting at home, and a to-do list that includes waltzing into the monster capital. And he's genuinely excited to see what powers he can steal next. Ahead of him, the Demon Realm. The one place that's supposed to be off-limits to humans, the gathering point of every monster on the planet, where a boy with 2 Demon Realm familiars is about to knock on the door and ask if he can train inside. If the human world already couldn't hold him, imagine what happens when the monsters get a look at him. That's where his story picks back up.